You've made it to at least the first part of the early signing period, and let chaos begin because today, guys that we didn't even know 3 weeks ago will fax in their letter of intent because fax machines are relevant on this day. And they will say that I am all in. And then they will be greeted by Emoji Nation, as that is what Nebraska football has become. It's nothing but an emoji. At times it has been a bad emoji. Now we're strong in the emoji game. So happy signing day, everybody. How we doing? Are you fired up? Do you have your list? Do you have your updated scholarship distribution board all ready to go in the man cave? Have you studied Prince Will?
Prince Will.
What Todd Van Poppel will do when he comes to watch his son play?
Great name.
Can we get him on, too, and just talk baseball?
You know, when he committed, and Riley Van Poppel is one of the players in Nebraska's class that will sign today that I really, really like. His film don't lie, and I think he'll be a big addition on that defensive line. We had Dad on. We had Dad and son on.
Nice.
So when Dad comes, I'll find some baseball cards and,
yeah.
Pester him and have him sign. They are not probably as worth as much as they, were back when he first began his career.
Sure, he's used to it by now, though.
Yeah, well, you know what?
It's a recognizable name, too. I mean, given the career and everything.
Yeah, probably at this point, though, he's kind of like, you know what? I didn't have a memorable major league career, but thank you.
Exactly.
But he's going to have a son that I think will have a memorable Nebraska career. But welcome in. It is signing day. Let the chaos begin. Probably elsewhere. Nick, I don't think there will be much chaos other than if you are a local product and you're still deciding, like Benny DeGoy at Lincoln High, on if you're going to go to Nebraska or Iowa State, or you're signing with Nebraska. It could be a little bit difficult because of the weather here. A lot of schools are out, like LPS is out. So I don't know what Benny's going to do. He's supposed to announce at 1. That's a toss-up, I think, between Nebraska and Iowa State. But I don't think chaos will happen. I think by now you have a pretty good feel if somebody is coming your way or not. Like an Eric Fields, who is not super active on social media, that people are wondering after his visit to Lincoln what's going to happen. I still think he's a Nebraska guy. So we won't get any chaos, which could either be good or bad, depending on how you look at it.
Now, I know most likely the Malachi Coleman decision's coming in February, but there's a skosh of a shot.
No, I think he is going to wait. He's playing in, is it the Under Armour All-American Bowl?
Yeah.
Whatever one of those are next month.
Right. So,
that's what he's going to announce.
So you're getting closer to the February signing date, or as far as a decision, but it was floated like, you never know with this whole recruitment. Maybe there is a 11th hour, you know what, let's just do this now. But
yeah, he's a wild card. I mean, I think he'll wait. Like a couple of Nebraska's guys are waiting on will not happen until January when they're at these all-star games. I mean, he could be a wild card, but I think he might like that stage to announce where he's going to go to school.
Yeah, the Benny Nagoy one, I'm just I don't feel sorry for Matt Campbell, but I'm just curious on how he's feeling the last week.
I think he's
last 48 hours.
Well, I think it comes down to, does he want to play defensive back at Nebraska or wide receiver at Iowa State?
Yeah.
And, Iowa State got on him early, and we know that when Matt Campbell locks onto somebody, he stays with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think Nebraska on his, he's been to Lincoln or, on the campus numerous times. I don't think Nebraska, kicked Iowa State aside with his visit, but I think they gave him something to think about his career on where he's going to play.
Yeah.
So, that's not an easy decision. You committed to somewhere for a while, and they've been really, really good to you, and you built up relationships, and all of a sudden there's this new guy that shows up, and his first order of business is to show up at your high school. So, that's a difficult. It's a great opportunity because you're going to get to play college football at the next level, but that's not an easy decision on, are you going to flip at the last hour? So he's one to watch. I think it comes down if he wants to play offense or defense on where he chooses to go.
It's a toss-up, I think. I think a lot of people are kind of, I can see Nebraska getting the news they want. And it's always, and when you think about these recruits, especially the ones in state, when there's a coaching change, I think from the outside looking in, because this happens everywhere in college football, as we know, it's happening a little too often here. But sometimes that new coaching staff, when you're in the middle of it, meaning, in Benny Nagoy's situation. You're right there, not only in the state, but you're in the city where that change is taking place. When there is buzz generated, this is where I think it's great to have the adults as well helping you in this decision, because I can imagine as a 17 or 18-year-old kid, it's easy to go with the trend. It's easy to go with kind of the most talked about possible scenario for you. And it's easy to kind of get caught up in that. Your friends, a lot of your influences around you every day are talking about how cool that could be. And then, like you mentioned with Iowa State, with Matt Campbell, I mean, they've been there from day one. They've laid out a really good scenario for you, but you can get caught up in it. Now, from the standpoint, though, of having a decision of, well, what position do I feel best suited for at the collegiate level? Obviously, that takes the decision further. But this is where those decisions can be based on emotion. But I'm always interested to see that type of buzz for a new coaching staff, depending on who would be your potential position coach, your coordinator on which side of the football, and your head coach, how much you can kind of, even in a week's time, fall in love with the idea of that. And then at some point, you just kind of have to back away from both of those decisions and, cooler heads prevail and kind of calm down and then really look at that and try to remove a little bit of that emotion, because I understand a lot of those guys are going through that with this new coaching staff. And again, you're only human to kind of get swept up in that.
There's going to be guys like Nagoy where this staff had to work quickly on building relationships. That's why if you look beyond, what's it look like for guys that I think enjoy recruiting and like that relationship building, which is such an integral part of recruiting, is what does it look like when you got a full year to work on 24 prospects? And now they're putting the partial 23 class to bed today. And Dwight Boodle, by the way, wins the award for being the first in with his facts, because Nebraska has officially announced that we got.
They start right away. They don't waste time.
Yeah, he's
is that 7-13 out there right now?
Yes.
Okay.
In Florida. So he is the first in. But what is, late last night, Nebraska's all of a sudden dropping a lot of 24 offers. So what does that look like with relationship building with one full recruiting cycle? Because, this is a recruiting class that you tried to keep together, and you did for the most part, and then you added additions to get to 19. Before the day's over, Nebraska could be in the 20s. They're going to have 7 in-state products. They could have 8. Are they going to be able to crack the top 30? That might be a reach. They might be able to get into the back end of the top 30, but this will not be like the ranking that we're used to around here. And we'll get into did they meet their needs? Did they exceed their expectations and our favorites in this class? It also is a good morning and a shocking morning at the same time in the world of baseball, as late last night, Steve Cohen, who spends money, he doesn't matter. Remember, he has got $800 million in guaranteed cash to his current roster, and their payroll is inching towards $400 million with the Mets. He swooped in late last night and grabbed Carlos Correa. So Correa, who last week signed a free agent deal with the Giants, 13 years, they were supposed to announce the signing of Carlos Correa yesterday. And then all of a sudden, which is a terrible PR look, the Giants had to cancel the press conference because there was a red flag in his physical, pending a physical. Now, this is how this works with contracts, because some will say, well, why would you ever sign a contract without somebody doing a physical? Well, you want the money out there, okay? Yeah. You're, as an agent, you want the money out there, that the deal is out there, that it's done, and then you go through the physical. And very few times is a physical derail anybody, or if there's a red flag, it's pretty private and you fix it. But in this case, there was, I don't know, the doctors cleared Correa. They didn't say what was the red flag, but the Giants were hesitant. But I think, as Carlos Correa now is a New York Met, and he could probably thank his buddy Francisco Lindor for staying in his ear, is Carlos Correa had second thoughts. I don't think he failed a physical. I think Carlos Correa had second thoughts, and he said, I don't want to play in San Francisco, which now has turned into a bad offseason. No Judge, no Correa, bad PR mess, egg on your face. He goes to New York to join the Mets,
because who isn't joining the Mets?
That's the thing. I mean, the Mets and the Yankees have had a really, really good offseason. And
Timmy Trumpet.
Hey, isn't it interesting that the Yankees are set to announce Aaron Judge today? But the story in New York has to be that the Mets just got Carlos Correa, and Steve Cohen loves to spend himself some money. He's in it to win the World Series, but bad look for San Francisco. This is a PR disaster that they were not able to lock up Correa and give him some wiggle room to say, you know what, I just don't want to play in San Francisco. I want to go play with the Mets. And so you go from you were runner-up to Judge, now you lose Correa, and you're in a division where you have the Dodgers and then the Padres, and you have done really nothing in the offseason.
Yeah, there's no breathing room. And that's probably the most frustrating thing if you're a Giants fan right now. Look, you can live with finishing behind the Yankees when it came to Aaron Judge. And that's why the Carlos Correa announcement a week ago was so important, because that's where, like, okay, we didn't get Aaron Judge. We knew kind of, if you're a Giants fan again, and probably for the most part, if you're in the front office, you could only do so much to get Aaron Judge to come that way. But at the end of the day, the Yankees were always going to be a major player, and having the roots there for Aaron Judge, having some of his more successful seasons in his early career, that's going to be a lot to him as long as the money adds up, which it did. So you're disappointed, but you know that there are other big fish out there. So then you get one. When you go as far as announcing it, and then you have, okay, just a little delay, nothing to see here, folks. We're fine. Nothing to see here. We're just going to delay this a little bit with Carlos Correa. That's where you think, and for the last week, I'm sure there were fans that were trying to get a hold of a Carlos Correa jersey. How were they going to get all of their Carlos Correa merch? And then now you wake up today finding out not only did you failed doing that, also in the same league as your beloved Giants, as he's going to the Mets. And then you think about, as you guys talked about, what the Mets have done this offseason too. And as teams are getting better, as teams that were already good a year ago are getting better, yeah, you're left with, what the hell? Okay, we, as you said, finished runner-up to Aaron Judge, but you lost. That's the difference. You didn't finish runner-up to the Mets. You had Carlos Correa, and you lost it. And that one could take a while to get over.
And if the Mets don't make the World Series now?
Yeah,
everybody ready for the Mets-Yankees World Series?
Yes, I am. We can have Roger throw the bat back at Piazza, though.
That'd be good.
I thought it was the ball. We're playing wiffle ball here. You're out.
We've done that before. So who looks worse in this, Correa or the Giants?
Giants,
I think so.
Correa probably saw the prices of the houses in San Francisco.
Hey, the Giants have to publicly talk about this.
Yeah.
Because this is really, really bad. This is a PR disaster that they had Carlos Correa, because they were set for a press conference yesterday, and you have to cancel it.
Right.
They can cancel it. Hey, Correa was under the weather. Mm-hmm. Somebody wasn't able to make it. But not that there is a possible physical that did not go so well. And then, I don't think a physical went. I mean, Correa has had some health issues, and he's had a back, but is that going to derail this deal? I think it's Correa had second thoughts.
Yep.
He had second thoughts about where he wanted to play, and he was able to work his magic. And remember who his agent is. Boris and Coleman have worked together. And so
I could have not known, and I would have known.
He said he wants out. I don't want to do this deal with the Giants. I want to be with the Mets. I got Francisco Lindor is blowing up my phone.
Yeah.
And so he ends up with the Mets, and that's huge. But man, New York baseball, because Judge, there's a big press conference today to announce the signing of Judge with the Yankees to keep him in-house. And people are probably just talking about Correa.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But what a chain of events. That happened late in the night.
Think about the left side of that infield now, too. Because Correa will now play at third. Lindor will stay at short. A la Jeter, A-Rod. Like, that's, wow.
They're all in.
I mean, it's pressure, but, geez.
And the Giants can now sit at the table with the Rockies and Diamondbacks and watch the Padres.
What
and
an
Dodgers.
offseason for the Mets. Yeah. My goodness. Yeah, I mean, how many times could you say that in an offseason in the last 2 decades of positivity when it comes to the two baseball organizations in New York? That the Mets, even on top of an Aaron Judge signing, that the Mets are probably being talked about more, and probably should be talked about more right now.
Well, but they're probably being talked about in places like Kansas City and Pittsburgh as a negative.
Well,
I mean, Steve Cohen, probably for the people that have a lot of money that own sports franchises that are in markets where you've got to compete because you need to stay first and foremost up front. He's spending money, and he's got money to spend. It's not our money. So if you want to give Carlos Correa $300+ million, that's on you. But what are people saying about him in Kansas City and Pittsburgh, where they've got owners that are pretty wealthy
Yeah.
that are not able to get into the game to get a Carlos Correa, to get an Aaron Judge, to get those kind of players to increase their payroll, increase their chances to win a World Series. I mean, the way the Royals won a World Series, how many times is that going to work out over a decade period? I mean, we see the teams that spend cash and spend cash wisely go on to win the World Series.
Well, I'll tell you what they're saying in Kansas City. Chiefs play Saturday. They look pretty good.
Saying, hey, that relief pitcher we just got, that's kind of interesting.
All right.
All right, let me give you the lineup. It is National Signing Day. It's the early signing period. It's kind of a weird day because there will be a lot of players that signed across the country. There are players that are waiting to make their commitments. You've got portal guys. You've got the portal. You can still get into the portal up until January 18th. So today is kind of a fluid day, but there is nobody around the country that says this was a really frustrating class. This was not a great class. They will spin their class as well as they can. And if they have a frustrating class, who do you blame? The head coach, or do you blame boosters who didn't come up with enough NIL money? Alan True from 24/7 will join us coming up at 7:30. We'll walk through the chaos and how Michigan is doing, how Colorado's doing, and his thoughts on Nebraska's recruiting class that has come together in less than 3 weeks. Matt Rule will speak at 2:30 today. Almost want him to fly through the class because there are other pertinent stuff that probably need to be asked because this will be his first media availability.
Scott talked about other stuff, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
it's your major one. Like it'll be, Rule's not going to be available, probably until, probably before that. But, there's a lots have happened since he last spoke. His staff has come together. And, there's a lot of other things going on, guys that have made decisions to come back. Will he comment like on a Casey Thompson, confirm that he is going to be back? So Matt Rule will speak at 2:30. I imagine that will be a long press conference, which is okay.
I don't think he'll mind that.
Jalen Lloyd, who is part of Matt Rule's first recruiting class, the speedster from Omaha West Side, he'll join us coming up at 8:30. Scott Shanley is in with his normal NFL segment at 9, and then Brandon Vogel stops by at 9:40. That is the lineup brought to you by the Rooferys at John Higgins Weather Guard. That is a fantastic lineup. We got great discussion on signing day today in Nebraska's class, impact players, and who you waiting for. There's a couple of portal offensive linemen that Nebraska will wait on. A.J. Cornelius is one. Did you see one of Matt Rule's late night tweets last night?
Oh no, was he emojiing it up?
Yeah. Did you see the one that has the bag?
Oh,
I'll let you.
I saw Fred's response.
I got to take a look at this.
I will let you figure out.
Wait, what
that
time?
Emoji is.
What time did he tweet this out?
What time do you go to bed?
Last night 10.
I think it might have been before 10.
Okay.
Because after Nebraska basketball beat Queens.
Yeah. Did you see that, by the way?
Yeah, I was like one of two people that were there.
I saw the pictures. I actually was looking for you. I was like,
I saw the crowd.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, the crowd was.
I got thoughts.
Okay, so
Hoiberg won, and then he emojied it up, and then Rule responded.
Wait.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
Well, then, okay, now I got Larry the Cable Guy getting in on this too. Okay, let's see.
It's gonna be a good.
Is this the eyes, face, goat, smiley face? Oh no, okay, here we go. The duck, the bag, and the ghost face, and then hands in the air, money bag, ghost face.
Okay, what do you think that means?
I feel like I'm watching Concentration.
What play are they running here? Okay, let's see. Oregon Duck. Let's see. So this has to do something with Cornelius, right? Because he went to Oregon.
So this is what I think this is. This is about NIL money, and Oregon and Miami do not have enough NIL money.
I mean, the duck is the giveaway there.
Well, and then the hands.
For the U. You can't do the U. Oh, that's I didn't even think of that. Yes.
So that's what I think that is. Is about.
Matt, come on, don't poke the bear on that. Come on, buddy.
No,
he's emoji king. Hey, if it's a done deal, it's a done deal.
People are loving him. Look at college football coaches that are most popular right now. Where are they the most popular?
On social media.
Twitter. On social media. Mm-hmm. And he, in the last week and a half, has been all in on the emoji game.
Is he repping TikTok at all?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So that's what I think this means. And so A.J. Cornelius, the offensive lineman from Rhode Island, who is probably the number one offensive tackle or offensive lineman in the portal, is supposed to announce later in the day. So that's what I think it pertains to. But that doesn't mean that he's coming to Nebraska. But that's what I read. I could be completely off, but just, we're in the world of college football and NIL, and you're competing, and some people have a good NIL program, some do not.
You start throwing the bag out there. We start getting Kirk Ferentz start to accuse Matt Rule of buying a team. Hey, bought it. That's fine. Hey, you know what? Who cares? You're allowed to do that now.
Exactly.
If you win games, does anybody care? I get it. You got to win games, and that remains to be seen. But if Jimbo Fisher, if they were able to validate preseason expectations, do you think Jimbo Fisher would really give a rip once the season's going? Be like, whatever.
It works.
It's available to us. It's available to you too. You're dumb not doing it.
I don't know. Did I see yesterday that Texas A&M has had 24 players go in the portal, and they have yet to have anybody join them?
Yeah.
Like the Nebraska's waiting on one of their defensive tackles, Elijah Judy, to decide where he's going to go to school. Nebraska's one of 4, but I don't think anybody has transferred into Texas A&M.
If you're looking for a quality player, just go to the Texas A&M store. Some good ones to be had.
That's true. That is the lineup again. Full breakdown of what's going to happen today. A little bit later, Matt Rule will break down this class. We'll break it down with you until 10. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley at 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Basically what a runza is. It's a breadstick with meat and cabbage. It's a breadstick with meat and cabbage on the inside.
No, it is not a breadstick.
Yes, it is. It's a bread pocket, Nick. Breadsticks are so, it's a stick of bread.
It's not a
meat
stick
jammed in.
So
definitely not a stick.
So when you go to the store to buy Wonder Bread, you get a stick of bread?
No, that's a loaf.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Winter storm warning in effect Wednesday afternoon in the metro. Expect a cloudy and cold morning, then light snow starting afternoon. Highs will top out in the low to mid-20s. Snow will pick up in the evening, and so will the winds as Arctic air surges in. Expect areas of snow and blowing snow through the night with 2 to 4 inches possible by Thursday morning. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burden, AC, Heating, Plumbing, and more. Time-saving traffic center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect some significant slowdown from 84th to 72nd along Highway 370. And on L Street, be prepared for some significant slowdown from the I-80 East ramp all the way to 102nd. Then on Dodge, it looks like things are slowing down only a little bit from 94th to 90th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
Through January 4th, 2023, enter non-winning Nebraska Lottery Holiday Wishes scratch tickets for a chance to win $1, $5, or $10,000. It's the Holiday Wishes Second Chance promotion, so enter today. Top prize odds vary by game.
Want to know what CBDs and Kratom can do for you? Then stop by any 42 Degrees location. Talk to our knowledgeable and friendly staff and see why we are the source for all your Kratom and CBD needs. 42 Degrees, by your mom's house.
Thank you to everyone who voted for MD West One in the Best of Omaha contest. We are thrilled to announce MD West One has been named the #1 private medical practice in Omaha for 4 years in a row. MD West One is also named first place in the orthopedic surgery and neurosurgical spine surgery. Our 34 board-certified surgeons specialize in treating every bone, joint, or muscle condition from head to toe. Go to mdwest1.com to meet the #1 place to go for orthopedic, neurosurgery, and spine.
Sometimes takeout food just doesn't cut it. Sometimes you want to come in, sit down, and relax while you eat a down-home, stick-to-your-ribs meal. The kind of meal you'll find at Shug's Comfort Food Restaurant in Bellevue. It's homemade soul food made fresh every day. Make some new friends and find yourself feeling like you're right at home with a menu that features everything from fried chicken and gizzards, catfish fillets, and Nine Nice Peach Cobbler. Shug's Comfort Food Restaurant on Mission Avenue in Old Town Bellevue.
Listen to Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay Overtime, the Creighton men's basketball postgame show on 1620 The Zone. Live from DJ's Dugout downtown. It's right after every home game, presented by Barry Law. Exclusively on your home for the Creighton Blue Jays. 1620 The Zone.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
This message is for the guy who isn't perfect in the bedroom. And let's be honest, who is? Maybe the issue is getting it up or keeping it up, or maybe it's finishing too soon. If any of these performance hiccups sound familiar to you, don't sweat it. Hims can help. At 4hims.com, you can go online and get clinically proven prescription medication that treats these issues, prescribed for you, if appropriate, by licensed medical providers. And the medication is shipped free to your door in discreet packaging. Plus, Hims gives you unlimited follow-up visits with medical providers. No one's perfect in the bedroom every time, but with Hims, you can get a lot closer than before. And chances are, your partner will agree.
To get started today, go to 4hims.com/perfect. That's 4hims.com/perfect for your free visit. FORHIMS.com/PERFECT.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
It is 5 degrees as we speak, as we prepare for, on the first day of winter, a major Arctic blast.
It's coming.
You can feel it outside. So prepare accordingly if you have to go out. A lot of schools are out today because of the snow that's supposed to arrive a little bit later. But welcome to the first day of winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 5 degrees and it's going to get colder. It's like, wait, it's cold enough. We're good.
That's a punch in the face. We've had a couple of we've had a couple of first days of winter, the official first day. And it's like been in the 50s. You're like, oh, setting a tone here now. This would not be a good tone setter.
No, we've also been on a little bit of a stretch where signing day happens to be snowy day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the case today. So don't send, if you're going out and you're like, an 18-year-old and you're like, I'm tough and I'm going to wear shorts, probably not the day to do it over the next couple of days. Welcome back in National Signing Day. Maybe some chaos is about to begin. I'll tell you about everything is social media now. Nebraska's football coach is very active on Twitter. I'm piecing some things together that he did last night that I'm going to ask you, Nick, on what you think is what it means as welcome back into Mornings with Sharp and Handley. But we do want to mention this. So today is a big day in football, especially in college football. But it is going to start off with a thud, and a bad thud. Franco Harris has passed away at the age of 72. And it is even more of a gut punch because Saturday they are celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. They have been building this up. They have been promoting it. The Raiders and the Steelers play in Pittsburgh. It's the 50th anniversary. The legendary Pittsburgh Steeler franchise, they've retired 2 numbers in the history of the Steelers. 2 numbers. One before the merger. The other is Mean Joe Green.
Mm-hmm.
The third was going to be number 32 in Franco Harris. And for the last month, they have had Franco Harris everywhere in Pittsburgh. He has been at Penguin games. He has been at Steelers games. He has been everywhere. If you fly into Pittsburgh,
you see him.
Yeah, when you take the escalator down to pick up your baggage, there's the Immaculate Reception statue of Franco Harris that greets you. And so many people have taken pictures in front of that statue. I mean, I always give it an extra look when I'm flying through Pittsburgh. And when I heard this morning, it was announced about an hour ago. I thought, man, of the timing of what he means and what they are celebrating this weekend. It's unimaginable that Franco Harris passes away at the age of
only
32.
72.
The age of 32 on the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, and they were going to retire. He's going to be the third, and he still will be, the third Steeler to have their number retired, but he will not be standing at Heinz Field to see number 32 retired. That's a tough bit of news to begin the morning that Franco Harris has passed away.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like there was a time that would be more convenient. That's awful to say. It's kind of just bizarre. And I think we were talking about this on Monday, as far as like, oh yeah, the craziness of the NFL, and we were talking about the lateral, and we were talking about all just the bizarre, wonky things that happen, Vegas and New England. And then we talked about, hey, yeah, by the way, this weekend, 50-year anniversary, Franco Harris, front and center of that. And the Steelers organization and what they were doing to promote one of the most memorable plays, not in just franchise history, but in NFL history, period. Like, you can still look at highlights that could go all the way as recent to last week, but some of the greatest moments in NFL history are always going to be centered around that. And just, I mean, I can only imagine what that fan base and that organization is feeling, but especially, and I know it was his son, Doc, that was giving the news about his passing. And I mean, I'm assuming the family, leading up to this anniversary, was probably really excited about this, given the holidays as well. Man, it just, you talk about just being gutted with a Hall of Famer that, yeah, here we are just days away from celebrating one of the most memorable moments in all of the NFL's history.
Mike Tomlin yesterday talked about Franco Harris, and he kind of jokingly said, I was in section 135 at Three Rivers Stadium, the old stadium in Pittsburgh. And he said I was 8 months old. But, as time goes on and it's 50 years later, you probably have 100,000 people that said they were at that game. And Mike Tomlin went on and on about Franco Harrison's impact on the community of Pittsburgh, where he calls home, and the Steelers organization. And that is a major, major loss to the black and gold. And coming up on the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, Franco Harris passing away last night, his son confirming that he had passed away at the age of 72. The cause of death wasn't immediately known. All right, 6:39. When we come back, so there could be chaos today. I thought there would be minor chaos, but Matt Rule may have added to what could be a chaotic day just by liking a tweet, as letters of intent are starting to roll in off the fax machine.
That's where we are now, liking a tweet.
Everything's social media.
Yeah.
Again, Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is a good college football coach.
The godfather.
But Lane Kiffin, because of his social media game, has elevated himself to a whole nother spectrum when it comes to people and their opinion of Lane Kiffin. Now, Matt Rule is probably not to that point yet of just taking swipes, but emoji in, he has taken swipes. But look he was out last night in Lincoln. He went to a restaurant where, we share a thing. I went on a date there once. He probably took his wife, Italian restaurant in the Haymarket. He is tweeting up a storm. And that's kind of how we've interacted with Matt Rule since he took the job and he had that press conference.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't talked to the media until today. We've talked to him through emojis. But he liked a tweet that we'll see what this means, if it's just him liking stuff or if it has anything to do with Nebraska. We will do that when we return. Coming up in the next hour, Alan True will stop by. We'll get his thoughts on the Big Ten and around the country, and of course Nebraska, on what recruiting is going to look like. The big story in the Big Ten isn't Graham Mertz going to Florida, which is very odd that Graham Mertz goes from Wisconsin to Florida. Florida needing a quarterback, and Graham Mertz is their choice. But that Alabama has officially flipped Caden Proctor, the 5-star offensive lineman from Des Moines, who had been pledged to Iowa. He is now going to Alabama. So Alan will join us coming up at 7:30. Jalen Lloyd, who is at 7:30, is going to hold along with Tristan Alvano at Westside, their signing day presser. Even though I think they're still going through with it because they're out of school today.
Yeah, they're out of school.
Yeah. So Jalen will join us coming up at 8:30. Scott Shanley stops by at 9 ahead of an important game tomorrow night between the Jags and the Jets. We'll get his NFL thoughts and Brandon Vogel as well on a Wednesday morning. Happy hump day, everybody. It's Nick, Jimmy, and Gary. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Remember, no matter how you listen, it's still AM radio. 1620 The Zone.
Hey everybody, it's Michael Savit for Ted and Wally's. We want to wish you a happy holidays. December can be tough sometimes because you got to buy presents. You don't always get the size right. You don't always get the color right. You know what the perfect gift is? It's ice cream. You know why? Because the size is never going to be wrong. The color's not going to be wrong because it's ice cream. Everybody loves ice cream, and you'll love it as well. Whether it is a gift card or actually giving a pint or a half a gallon, either way, it makes a perfect stocking stuffer. And you can order to go. Pint, quart, half gallons. It's a great treat over the holiday or for a holiday party as well. Over 3,000 flavors to choose from, and it's a different flavor every day. All you have to do is go on your social media accounts, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, and they will post the daily flavors, and they are amazing. And it's every kind of ice cream you could possibly imagine. It's over 35 years of nostalgia, and it's done the old-fashioned way. Made in 100-year-old Ice Mountain freezers. It's Ted and Wally's. Get some for a gift today.
Buy your next vehicle your way from anywhere with Woodhouse. Start your journey online at woodhouse.com. Easily shop all new and pre-owned inventory, explore payment options, and apply for financing. Ready to purchase? Schedule your new vehicle for pickup from the dealership or have it delivered to your driveway. Need a little extra help in determining your perfect vehicle? Our knowledgeable and local dealerships can guide you to the vehicle that best matches your needs. Experience car buying your way with Woodhouse, a trusted auto partner since 1975.
Here's this week's Maverick Minute. In their final non-conference game of the season, the Maverick men's basketball team was down 67-45 by Northern Colorado last Friday night. The Omaha men officially end their non-conference slate at 5-6. The Omaha baseball team has officially released its spring schedule. They'll play 25 home games at Tal Anderson Field for the 2023 season. And that's your Maverick Minute on your home for the Mavs. News Talk 1290, 1180 The Zone, and 1620 The Zone.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome to the start of winter. You might say, what are you talking about? It's been here for a while. Meteorologist, this is your first day of winter, and there is a major winter storm. It is a weather weenie, Nick. That's what I refer to myself as.
It's good.
The fact that
haven't heard that
there
before.
is nationwide Arctic cold.
Yeah.
It's, the timing is brutal because it's, a lot of people, like today is a major travel day for a lot of people. Some of us should have decided that we're going to work Thursday and Friday for all of you.
But you guys are
nationwide Arctic cold, like every place it appears is cold.
Yeah, the NFL forecast.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you
Wow.
seen? Yeah,
Wow.
Oh, in Chicago,
Yeah.
look for the
Saturday.
Bills again. We're going to be playing in a snow game.
Yeah.
take the under.
Oh. Even in Carolina.
They're going to be chilly. Well,
Nashville.
I think on Christmas it's Green Bay's playing at Miami, and it's going to be chilly, which is saying a lot. I mean, chilly is like 50s, but that's cold.
a big deal.
What's
That's
the
cold in
and
Miami.
you know this very well. What's one of the biggest advantages that the Dolphins have when they play a team, considering where they put them on the sideline, is when that sun just cakes in on them. It's not going to be much.
Even
of an
in
advantage.
December, you get 80 and humid
Right.
sometimes there. It can be rough.
That's not going to be much of an advantage.
No.
outside of it.
Well, so for everybody that is outside, that has to work outside, like our wonderful postmen and postwomen, be careful. Everybody check on people that have to be outside because they're talking overnight into tomorrow around here, wind chills minus 40 to minus 50. Minus 40 to minus 50. I mean, it's 5 degrees outside.
That's like the
it's
ice
cold
bowl.
outside. Yeah, it's going to be miserable. And a lot of schools are out. The metro holiday tournament has been, I guess, stopped, put on hold. They'll decide after the Christmas break or after Christmas what they're going to do with the scheduling on that. So there's a lot of cancellations. School is out. Signing ceremonies are being postponed today. They'll wait and have them in February. But Nebraska's is still on, and Nebraska's going to play Kansas in women's basketball tonight, and that is still on. And the Creighton-Butler game tomorrow night downtown at the Chi is still on. Welcome back in. A couple of things here. Breaking news early this morning. Carlos Correa has flipped from the Giants to the Mets. Ironically, we use the word flip on National Signing Day because there will be a lot of flipping going on.
It's a theme.
He goes to the Mets after agreeing to a 13-year deal with the Giants. They said there was a concern about the physical. What there was he had second thoughts. And so he goes 12 years, $315 million to the New York Mets. And Franco Harris has passed away at the age of 72. Coming up on the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, and they're going to retire his number 32. Franchise that's going to be only the third number retired. But Franco passes away last night at the age of 72. So it's National Signing Day today. Alan True is going to join us at 7:30. Nebraska has a football coach who loves social media. He loves his emoji game. He I think, sends people on the right trail, and then he wants to throw you off.
It's like Trev.
Ari Wasserman, who covers Ohio State and college football for The Athletic. He tweets out late last night, got word that there is going to be a big-time quarterback flipping tomorrow. Get some sleep, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a wild ride. Dylan Raiola would not announce anything on the signing day for the class of 23.
No.
The other big quarterback that would be out there would be Arch Manning, who has been committed to Texas for a while.
Mm-hmm.
There's no real big-time quarterback where you would go, oh, is
Right.
flipping. So
this would go beyond recruiting heads.
Yeah. So here goes the Twitter game. Max Olson, the great Max Olson, proud UNL guy, multiple appearances on the show, just tweets out an emoji, a popcorn emoji.
Everybody's just getting in on it.
Guess what college football coach in the Big Ten liked that tweet and the response? None other than Matt Rule.
Yeah.
So I'll let you be the decipher over there, Nick. What does that mean? Or was it just I had tricky fingers and I was sliding through Twitter and, oh, my God, that fat thumb liked the tweet? Or was it intentional? Because I'm now going through Matt Rule's likes. They're kind of interesting. They tell you.
I was looking at the Derek McFall one.
They don't give you the whole story, but they you can follow the breadcrumbs.
I saw the like of Derek McFall, 4-star running back out of Tyler, Texas. Where does Matt Rule recruit very well? It's okay. If are we all in agreement that that's got to be the quarterback, right? Because that does, as I mentioned, that transcends recruiting circles. That's national sports news beyond just National Signing Day. It's the Mannings, it's the dynasty. So right? It's got to be that.
Yeah, I mean, who else would you think it is as a quarterback?
I can't think of anyone that would sort of transcend that.
That would warrant a tweet like that the night before.
Yeah. See, I think he's probably just messing with people.
I think he is
Dylan
too.
Raiola is in play, and that's what people are thinking. So he might be just messing with people, which is okay.
Yeah, and that's what does Lane Kiffin do the majority of the time? Just to put something out there so you start. And this is where I'm inclined to think Matt Rule did that for people to have these conversations like, well, Nebraska, as you pointed out, is very much a part of the conversation with Dylan Raiola. So you do something like that, and all of a sudden people start to wonder about Nebraska. You're relevant. You're being talked about on this day. It can't hurt you. And Matt Rule can simply say, oh, yeah, no, I'm one for college football theater. I think this is great for the game. So I liked it. Had nothing to do with any type of link to us or our program or myself. I just think it's good for the game, guys. That's how you can dismiss it. That's how you can explain that.
if Arch Manning flipped from Texas to wherever, because there's like no trail of him backing away from Texas. That would be a major slice of the kneecaps to Sarkisian. I'm just thinking that's him because if I'm thinking big time in this class, who's the most talked about guy? Now, I mean, we've already had Dante Moore, the 5-star from Detroit, who committed to Oregon, flipped to UCLA. That's already happened. Who else would be out there that Matt Rule would like that? I think he's just playing the game.
He has to be.
He knows that everybody is crystal balling Dylan Raiola to Nebraska. He's not till 24. This is not his day until next year. Why not mess with people? I'm gonna wear a smock. You're gonna get upset, and I'm gonna troll on Twitter. And I'm gonna take subtle emoji shots at Oregon and Miami because they do not have the NIL that Nebraska does. Even though Miami's NIL has one person who funds it, and it's awful large. Miami, by the way, we'll get into this, Alan True. Mario Cristobal, after just a miserable first year, man, what they've done with their offensive line recruiting, hello.
Would it shock, just real quickly on Manning, would it shock you if he committed to Bama? We talked about Nick Saban, kind of on that maybe more of a scorched earth feeling right now and really getting back into stuff. This was a guy that was always talked about, you know what, he's not fully embracing the change in modern day college football when it comes to transfer portal, when it comes to NIL. But we all said when Nick Saban decides to go all in, look out.
Pissed off and determined.
I'm just, if there's a flip there.
It would rock college football if that happened today.
If there's a flip there.
Then Saban can do the Vince McMahon strut to his press conference today.
Well, and I ask you, who would be the most likely candidate if Arch Manning were to flip today?
And there it is.
It'd have to be, right?
He's the only one that I would say big time.
Yeah.
And he's been committed to Texas for a long time.
When's that supposed to happen, by the way? Right.
That's what we want. We want chaos today. Will there be chaos with Nebraska? I don't think there's going to be chaos with Nebraska.
No.
There might be some guys that
Just
you think
fun.
are going to go to Nebraska, like Ben Scott, the offensive lineman in the portal from Arizona State, trending towards Auburn. I don't know if he'll make an announcement today, but I wouldn't say that's chaotic.
No.
But there's nobody that has been kind of recommitted to Nebraska that I think will all of a sudden at the last moment flip. Now, people will keep an eye on Oklahoma linebacker Eric Fields, who is the most intriguing prospect in this class, in my opinion. People are wondering what's up, but I think he's a very quiet, close to the vest kid. So you know, whatever his social media activity is, I wouldn't read much into it. I still think he's going to choose Nebraska, but until he sends you via the fax or he puts it in the mail, his letter of intent, you never say never. But I think he is going to be part of Nebraska.
Does the weather slow that down?
No, man.
Okay. Well, in the fax, but what
you've seen? Well, the fax is. I think I had the fax machine. I don't know. Do we have a fax machine here, Jimmy?
If we do, it's upstairs.
I bet we don't.
When was the last time you got a fax or heard the fax machine go off at your place of work?
I think I was working at a bank a very long time ago.
2007.
Gosh, faxes that was like the cool thing.
Yeah.
And then you thought, man, what if we had one of those in our house?
Right. Oh, you know what? No, I take that back. Columbus, when I had to fax in our NSAA credentials for a state tournament.
Now we just scan, we copy them and scan them,
Yep.
or take a picture with your phone and then just send it to NSAA.
Yeah, or there's an app now where you can usually submit your credentials via app.
I actually got rosters and a starting lineup for a game via fax from a coach. So yeah, it's about 07.
And then you get screwed because the paper would be out and you get that pink little strip.
Right. I can't read this.
I don't want to ask him again. He was already nice enough to send it to me once.
But they clearly still have their place in modern society.
Kids, if you're signing with a school today, do it right. Find a fax machine. Go to, could you go down the street here to the FedEx place? Do they have a fax machine?
Yeah, I bet so.
This is the day for the fax
And
machine.
then when you go and go, hey, can I use your fax machine? The look you get from the 18-year-old behind the counter going,
the what? Hang on.
FACTS?
I got to ask
somebody. FAX.
Yeah.
I need to fax this. Well, we have this thing called email, scanning an email. No. I need to fax this. It's only official if I fax it.
I got to ask my supervisor. I don't even know it's a charge on
Find
something
Western
like that.
Union, see if we can send a telegraph.
Is that one where they're just so confused, and there's probably a charge? Like you go to your local grocery store too. There's probably a charge.
Manager.
They have it, but they're like, I don't know. You know what? Here, just
This
I'll
kid
do
wants
it.
to do something called a fax.
What is it? Probably charge you a quarter?
Yeah, here's a quarter.
How
and
many quarter per page?
I can't guarantee I'm going to do it right. I'll try. Where does this need to go? How do I get it there? Okay. To what high school? Wait, what college? Oh. Hey, congratulations.
Still hear the sound of the fax machine going off at KLIN in Lincoln. Like you were excited. You're like, I'm getting a fax. We're getting a fax.
News!
And people just hung around the fax machine waiting for whatever rolled out that was not legible.
Did you guys have to check the bottom or the underneath the fax machine when you got to work? Make sure you didn't miss a breaking story.
There were always like police reports and stuff.
Like, hey,
yeah,
we're supposed to. Well,
we had the cheap fax that didn't have the nice like fancy paper. It was the rolled up paper. So faxes would come out, and if you didn't take the paper right away, it would roll up,
and then it'd fall down, and it would roll under. Anybody ever see the movie The Firm? I mean, come on, that's how you miss vital information. You got to check below the fax machine sometimes.
Kids, do it right. Fax.
Ask your parents to help you.
I mean, you want to troll your future
Just
head
fax.
coach? Go, hey, coach, we got no email. We can't scan this. I don't live anywhere near Lincoln. I'm just gonna fax this. They go, okay. Puts the phone down. Do we have a fax machine? And what's the number?
Oh, what?
All right, Alan True's coming up in the next hour. Full breakdown on the early signing period. Nebraska basketball played last night. Not many of you were there. Generously, 2,523 were announced. Nebraska won. That's all that matters in a major trap game. But there were so many empty seats as we said there were going to be. And you had a fairly big upset in the game before Nebraska that hardly anybody knew about.
Right.
That leads us now to only 3 unbeatens that are left in college basketball. We'll do all that. We roll till 10. A little bit later, Jalen Lloyd, who is signing today with Nebraska. Maybe we'll get out of him who the wide receiver coach is going to be because he knows what he's been told not to say. Also, Scott Shanley and Brandon Vogel on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine on 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burden, AC, heating, plumbing, and more. Time-saving traffic center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a little bit of slowdown from 183rd to 165th along Center. Then on Industrial Road, be prepared for a major delay near 149th Street. And on L, be prepared for a bit of a delay from 90th to 79th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by IBEW Local 22.
Looking for a career, not a job? IBEW has immediate openings for residential electricians. You'll receive top pay, fully funded family health care, and retirement benefits. Invest in yourself with IBEW Local 22. Call Michael at 402-810-0789.
Your vehicle is important. It gets you where you need to go, but it does much more than that. I'm Darcy with Dingman's Collision Center, and at Dingman's, we know your vehicle is an investment and that safety is your priority. To make sure your vehicle is as safe as it was prior to an accident, bring it to Dingman's for proper, safe, and certified repairs. We protect you and your investment. We've been voted Best of Omaha for the past 17 years. At Dingman's, we'd rather be the best than apologize for anything less. Find us at dingmans.com.
Email any of our shows anytime into the Equitable Bank inbox. At Equitable, we take banking personally. For me, John at 1620thezone.com. The Equitable Bank inbox from 1620 The Zone.
When it comes to e-juice, 42 Degrees always promised that we would never sell any e-juice that wasn't manufactured under controlled conditions. We never mix juice ourselves or add nicotine. Why? Because we won't take a chance with your health. So when it comes to premium e-juice that tastes great and is available in disposables or bottles, then check out our e-juice department and find out why 42 Degrees is your source for all your e-juice needs. By your mom's house.
This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Hello, friends. Kent Pavelka wishing everyone happy holidays and best wishes for the new year from John Higgins Weather Guard. You know, we're fortunate to live in such a great community with a strong economy, good schools, and public service, along with a high level of health care and simply a great way of life. We appreciate everyone who's done business with us, and we look forward to meeting new customers in the new year. Happy holidays from your fans, the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard, America's leading installer of Da Vinci roofs.
The IRS, the world's most aggressive collection agency. They can seize your property, bank account, and garnish your wages. They cause sleepless nights for millions of Americans. Don't be one of them. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state, get protected today. Call 800-312-9970. Coast One Tax Group, protecting your bank, home, and your sleep since 2008. With hundreds of 5-star reviews and an A+ on the Better Business Bureau. Call Coast One Tax Group, 800-312-9970. Stanley from New York owed $93,000. The IRS placed a levy on his bank account. Coast One released the levy and settled with the IRS for $2,000. Mark in Michigan owed $225,000. After Coast One stepped in, Mark walked away paying less than $1,500. Call Coast One now. A 10-minute call can save you up to 93% on your back taxes. Get your fresh start today. That's 800-312-9970.
The world is always on, but you shouldn't be. Put junk sleep to bed. During Mattress Firm's Dream December sale, save up to 60% with Sealy Queen mattresses starting at $279.99. Only at Mattress Firm.
Come visit Omaha's Little Corner of France for mouth-watering appetizers and entrees, plus melt-in-your-mouth desserts. Pick up your holiday gift cards today or reserve their party room for your holiday gatherings. Les Voltaire will make you feel right at home, just like they've been doing for more than 2 decades. Les Voltaire, just off 156th and West Dodge Road in the Pepperwood Village, and at lesvoltaireomaha.com. Make New Year's reservations now for their 5:30 or 8:30 seatings. More info at levoltaireomaha.com.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, hour number 2, Christmas in Hollis.
Man, this is Christmas
Yes,
music.
Die Hard. You guys know I tried to. I had to attempt to rap the first verse of that one day in my career. It didn't go well. I had the lyrics up there, try to stay with the beat. It was, one of those karaoke situations that it was a bet. So it didn't have the lyrics going. So just had the beat in the back. And I tried to,
Just drive the car, Argyle.
After the second sentence, it was off. It was way bad.
So is it better to rap it or just read it? Because you'd say, it was December 24th on Hollis Avenue in the dark when I see a man chilling with his dog in the park.
See, that would have been way better.
I approached very slowly with my heart full of fear, looked at his dog. Oh, my God. And little reindeer. But then I was illin because the man had a beard. And a bag full of goodies 12 o'clock had neared. So I turned my head a second, and the man had gone, but he left his driver's wallet smack dead on the lawn. I picked the wallet up, and then I took a pause, took out the license, and it cold said, Santa Claus. $1 million in it, cold hundreds of G's, enough to buy a boat and a matching car with ease. But I'd never steal from Santa, 'cause that ain't right. So I was going home to mail it back to him that night. But when I got home, I bugged, 'cause under the tree was a letter from Santa, and the dough was for me. Better reading or rapping?
Better reading, no question.
Reading. Story time.
That was like 'Twas the Night Before Christmas.
Well, it's Christmas time in Hollis, Queens.
Mm-hmm.
A song that has appeared in numerous movies. You mentioned Die Hard, The Night Before.
Yep.
The Grinch, it is in.
Yes.
And then a little bit unknown movie, Holiday Rush, that was out about 3 years ago.
And I think it was also in
Thank you.
The Office Christmas Party? Office Christmas Party. Yeah.
Thank you, Run DMC.
Yeah, it was amazing. I first heard of it in Die Hard, though.
Yeah.
There are some songs that I will rap, but I think there's some that you just read the lyrics.
Yeah, that one's...
And it has more of an impact.
You will not make fists with your toes barefooted on the carpet in this studio, though.
No.
I don't recommend.
Yeah, keep the feet on. Shoes on. No, that was really good. That had a very 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. I feel like hopefully people are nestled around the fireplace tuning into Sharp and Handley.
Kids
just
that aren't going to school today that are
when I'm
just
sitting
waking up.
around and reading a book to a kids, they think it's 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. Actually, it was Christmas in Hollis.
Christmas in Hollis. They're now asking questions.
I think that has more of an impact.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
7:08. Alan True from 24/7 is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. So, with the help of Action Zach, we think we figured this out. The tweet from Ari Wasserman about a big name quarterback that could flip. So this is the world that we live in flipping. You know, we flip houses, we flip commitments. 4-star quarterback who had committed to Dave Aranda, Austin Novosad, is going to flip to Oregon. So that has nothing to do with Nebraska, but Matt Rule liked it.
Yep.
So that's who we think this is, that Oregon, who lost a 5-star quarterback, is going to get a 4-star quarterback.
So then was Matt Rule trolling Oregon?
I think he's got fat thumbs.
But remember we were talking about the Duck bag of cash. Was he trolling Oregon because of that? You know, the whole...
See, I think that's more of somebody that Nebraska's involved in. I think that's A.J. Cornelius.
Yeah. Matt, he's playing the game. I don't know if he has a relationship with Lane, but he's taking a page out of the Lane Kiffin playbook because everybody's going to try to interpret every little... And it's the emojis. That's the better part. Lane is not necessarily straight up emoji guy. He's usually just kind of less is more, leaves you with something, but it's not always an emoji. Like Matt Rule's doing this emoji style, which is maybe the new way of doing things.
I think he's like the only coach in the Big Ten that is like super, super active on Twitter.
Yeah. Now, will that continue? I know that's a question. Will that continue as you get into the rigors of the season?
Well, Kyle says, that's a fair question because Kyle tweets at Gary Sharp 1620. The tweeting from Rule is cute now, but wait until they start playing games. He doesn't make a bowl game in his first season. The tweeting won't be so fun anymore.
Well, it's Tim Miles. That's the Tim Miles feeling for me is when and we know he wasn't actually the guy behind the tweets at halftime, but when you would get some of the entertaining, humorous gestures from Tim Miles, whether it was on social media or just during press conferences, you enjoyed it because it was a guy with a personality that you just hadn't seen. It was kind of refreshing. But then as things started going bad and you weren't winning games and there was a lot of roster turnover and yet you were still kind of getting that shtick, it then seemed kind of disingenuous. It almost seemed like a distraction or smoke screen to kind of get your attention off of the problems that were happening. So, yeah, you always got to be careful with that. I don't think Matt Rule would still be emojiing it up, after a 2-10 season, if it got to that. I feel like he would know well enough to stay away from that, but I get the point there.
Nebraska's had 3 that have already signed. Ramir Stewart, that is a good high school to get into in Philadelphia. Dwight Boodle, who follows his brother, and then Quentin Ives. So everybody that's in the Eastern time zone, they have already sent in their letters of intent. So Nebraska has 19 of right now, so 3 are in. My favorite in this class, like the cornerstone, the guy who I think will make an impact the earliest will be Prince Will, the edge rusher. I mean, I think he is a guy that in a place where Nebraska's had trouble, hit or miss in recruiting edge rushers, I think he is the cornerstone of this recruiting class. Now, one of my favorites just by watching film is Riley Van Poppel. I think Riley Van Poppel, ironically, both guys from the state of Texas, and yesterday Matt Rule added a Arlington, Texas high school coach to his staff on an off-field role. Those two guys are from the state of Texas, and Van Poppel committed to the previous staff, and I've liked him from the jump. I think he's going to be a really, really good football player. I mean, he's 6'4", 270 right now. Like, I think about strength and conditioning, Nick and Jimmy, and what an impact it can have on certain offensive linemen, how they're explosive. They don't run with cinder blocks on their feet. That could change in a short amount of time. But I look at a guy like Prince Will, and his last name?
Umanyalan.
He's a guy that right now is 6'4", 225. I mean, is he a guy that's going to be 25, 30 pounds more before his career is over, that is going to gradually be added to his body, and you don't take away anything from his explosive ability or his length or his ability to cover in space, but you build him up with this? That's what there's something there when you combine a strength and conditioning program that maybe you have a little bit more faith that they're going to go after the things where football is trending right now, more explosiveness. But a guy like Verity Van Poppel at 6'4", 270, you add a little bit more weight to him. Those are the two guys that stand out in this class to me. And then from the portal side of things, and I said this before he committed over the weekend, I'm really intrigued by Corey Collier. Now, I know he's bringing two of his Florida friends with him, and Chief Borders committed yesterday. But Corey Collier, in a very now kind of a deep defensive back room where you could return all four starters and then add, some a Collier and a Stewart, I like Corey Collier. I like his first of all, his length at 6'2", 170, and I think he'll get a fresh start. He was highly thought of coming out of the state of Florida. There was a battle. His parents have history at Florida State, but he decided to go to Gainesville. That was a good pickup for Nebraska. So from the portal side, right now he's my favorite. But the two guys from Texas that are going to play on the defensive side of the ball are the two guys that I like the most in this recruiting class.
The offensive, and I know we've talked a lot about the development and whatnot with the offensive line, but you bring up the part about, and we know this is a big, I wouldn't even say adjustment, but this is going to be kind of the big turn there for Corey Campbell, is what is he doing with that offensive line when it comes to the strength and conditioning part of it? And you start thinking about some of the guys on the defensive side, and I mean, Umanyalan, 6'4", 225. How are you building that? I mean, is it maybe modest gains, weight-wise, but it's the right type of weight that's going on? Is it, like you said, 20, 25 pounds? That right there, this is where you talk about the projects, the guys that are in more of a little more raw, you can develop. But then you look at, there's a reason that Umanyalan is a 4-star. That size alone, it's like, Jesus. Like, you are a lot further ahead where it's almost like, I think of, you talk about molding the physique. That takes a little bit more of just the fine tuning there of the nutritional side of it and how those players are able to adjust to that and what their overall performance ends up looking like. So Umanyalan would have my attention more than anything, just based on what he comes in looking like, that size. And then whether, even think about the days of the Mike Riley staff, whether it was optional weightlifting or whatever, you always go through that freshman year, that transition, getting bigger, because it's a more structured, it's a regimen. And I know there are certain high school kids out there that take it a lot more serious than maybe others. But when you are in that routine, structured regimen like that, you're always going to get bigger. You're always going to get stronger. But then it's, okay, where does that strength actually show up on the field and sort of separate you? So when I look at just the profile of a lot of these guys, Umanyalan would have my attention the most because of just that frame alone at 6'4", 225, given the fact that he is on the defensive end. That's intriguing. That's exciting to me.
I think he is, as of right now, he's the highest ranked player in this class. So as of right now, in 24/7, Nebraska's 44th. On 3, they're 36th. Rivals, they are 34th with their 19 commitments, which includes 7 in-state. Now, this class will not be completely done today because they're gonna have some guys that are waiting to commit at their all-star games next month that Nebraska's kind of in the lead for, or they're going to get denied. But can they remain in the 30s? I think that would be quite an accomplishment for keeping this class together. That has had some good decommits, some guys that have helped with the ranking. If you're in the 30s, if you put this to bed in January, and maybe you add somebody in February as well, but when this is all said and done, the class of 23, I think if you are in the 30s as a composite, I think that's a good accomplishment for Nebraska. Alan True will get his thoughts coming up from 24/7 at the bottom of the hour, but here is old man Doug. Happy holidays, sir.
Happy holidays to you. Merry Christmas. Nick, welcome. This is my first phone call. What sparked me to call, actually, a little bit was, did you work in a bank?
Long time ago, I did, yeah.
What bank was that?
It was one that has to do with our country, United States, U.S., yes.
Okay.
Has it got a name?
Right.
U.S. Bank, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm trying to do the emoji thing. I'm trying to keep people guessing. Come on.
You were working at the wrong bank.
Oh, I'm sure I probably. I was a young kid making bad decisions back then, so it's very likely that was the case.
Actually, I worked at the predecessor to U.S. Bank, which was First Tier, but you're too young for that.
Oh, yeah. I do remember that. My family had accounts there.
There you go. What I'm most excited about is the offensive line, because I look and how did that guy from South Dakota get a 0-star? I watched this film, and that guy can move. If he's 320 pounds, I mean, he moves really good for that. I mean, I think we're not going to hit on all of them, obviously, but I think we've got a group that looks like they're ones that want to put in the work and stay and have a little patience and develop. So I'm probably the most excited about that. Some of the skill players, as we all know, kind of come and go, and we never know which ones are going to hit. But I think this offensive line, and I think we got plenty of good linemen in Nebraska, always have had, and we've just never, I don't know, for whatever reason, we discount the Nebraska kids. And I'm glad to see, Texas, the high school football down there, of course, these coaches down there, they don't teach. They're coaching. I mean, and they have spring ball. And I look at a guy like Rex Burkhead, which was one of the better players we've ever had, and how underrated, he was necessarily. I won't say why he was underrated, but, he was developed. He knew how to play. And I think some of these Nebraska kids, particularly in the line, know how to play better than we give them credit for. And so that's what I'm excited about. I think that under the circumstances, he's doing a great job on recruiting. And, Osborne's classes weren't always ranked that high, but they turned out pretty good.
Doug, thanks for the phone call. Again, Merry Christmas. Considering the circumstances, you have 3 weeks, you have to put a staff together, you have to guys that haven't been on the road recruiting because they've been in the NFL. I think they've hit the expectations.
Yeah.
Is there difference makers right away in this class? There's a couple that have the potential, but like on the offensive line, which is heavy regional, especially Nebraska. I mean, Sam Sledge to me, who I still can't believe was not Super 6. Sam Sledge was not Super 6 from Creighton Prep. Now, I heard he's going to start at center. Ethan Piper could possibly be the center. But Sam Sledge, to me, is going to be a multi-year starter. And you wonder about the in-state offensive linemen that are coming in, is they're all coming in together. So the offensive line coaching in this state has gotten better as well. The high school coaching from the head football coach has gotten better, but I think the offensive line coaching is better in this state at the high school level. And then there are more places for offensive linemen with a Steve Warren or a Matt Verzal to go and work on their craft year round. So that's going to help with the in-state linemen. And Nebraska is luck. Nebraska may take advantage of, you have this run of this many linemen in this recruiting class. And I think when you are from the state of Nebraska and you play offensive line or defensive line, in Mason Goldman's case, whatever they decide which side of the ball he's going to be on, and then you add a kid from South Dakota. I mean, there is a bond there because you are regional together. But you look at all of them, and some of them, they may never play here. You know, I mean, there's some that, like a Gatula from Southeast, has got to take a big jump. You know, he's got a he's a project, okay, and we're talking probably 2-3 year project. So you're gonna have to be patient with the offensive line. But I'm back. Nebraska, you can add some portal, but for them to get where they want to go, it's going to be high school, and especially on the offensive line, because your portal guys, you want them to come in and start. And Nebraska's not at a spot with their ability to recruit, which is still the question about Donovan Raiola, is to attract difference-making offensive linemen. Now, that could change today. Maybe A.J. Cornelius surprises everybody. He says yes to Nebraska, but it's high school. And it'll be to follow these guys along, that bond. But they're 2 to 3 years away with these guys coming in, where I think they're Big Ten offensive linemen making an impact.
Yeah, it's a great point about the offseason opportunities that you do have now to get a little bit more of the technique outside of the season too. And look, those exist, and that's big for it too. And he was bringing up, by the way, I did some homework last night. It's Machashek, not Machizek. I'm sorry, guys. I really am. I'll let you down on that one, but it's
a good try though.
Machashek. Father's a coach, you know, so you do think about, I'm always a fan of guys doing multiple sports and competing at different levels throughout high school. But when you think of offensive line, you think of that play getting better and using the state. I know that was the Pierre, South Dakota example there, but using the state of Nebraska, I think that's big. Like Warren Academy, I know even Chris Bober's doing some stuff too. Like that existing and guys taking that serious. I think it's no wonder you're seeing a little bit more of a run with quality offensive line play going beyond just the actual coaching that you're getting during the season.
Forgot about Chris Bober Academy. I got to forget about that. But that's a benefit to the people in state. You know, that you can be an offensive lineman, because when we have this blowing up of 7-on-7, you ever gone to a 7-on-7 and looked at the offensive lineman? You ever gone, whoa, that guy, look at him in 7-on-7, that pulling guard.
See that first step?
But then they have more opportunities, especially in this area, that you can work on your craft year round.
Yeah.
And there's more opportunities to also work on your craft while you're wearing pads, which, you know, look at Nebraska in the last handful of years has leaned into their pipeline camp, where they have a specific camp for linemen. And maybe that starts to produce a run of, there's 3 to 4 Big Ten offensive linemen that are in this state year after year.
Yeah.
You know, that are part of what I said, 5 to 7 guaranteed moving forward, that there will be 5 to 7 Power 5 guys every year out of the state of Nebraska, not just out of Omaha or Lincoln, but out of the entire state of Nebraska. And hopefully this is the start, with more attention towards offensive line play and even defensive line play year round, that you'll start to produce more of these guys that, you know, you got a bond when you have 4 offensive linemen that are coming to Nebraska. All right, 25 past the hour. Alan True from 24/7 is going to join us next. We'll get his thoughts on the early signing period. Today is the day. If you are just waking up, it's not a great day in football. It's really a sad day. Franco Harris, at the age of 72, the Hall of Famer. He was set to have his number 32 retired by the Steelers on Saturday night at Heinz Field as they celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, which happened. Franco Harris was a rookie when it happened in 1972. But his son confirming this morning that his father, at the age of 72, had passed away last night. So it is an extremely sad day in Pittsburgh, because Franco is everything Steelers. And for the last month leading up to Saturday night, he has been everywhere. They have celebrated the life of Franco Harris, and Franco Harris passed away last night. So it'll be a really, really rough next couple of days in Pittsburgh, but they will retire his number 32. All right, Alan True joins us next on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
And don't forget, with the cold weather coming up, make sure that you are in the vehicle that is going to keep you ahead of the elements. Woodhouse Mazda, during their final days of the Season of Inspiration event, you can get your new Mazda, and the first year of maintenance is on them. Plus, make no payments for 90 days on any new or certified pre-owned Mazda when financed through Mazda Financial Services. Shop the Omaha Metro's exclusive Mazda dealers, Woodhouse Mazda. You can shop their inventory, apply for financing, and even schedule service appointments on WoodhouseMazda.com or WoodhousePlaceMazda.com. Now, that's convenience. You can also visit them in Bellevue off of Highway 75 and Chandler Road at Woodhouse Mazda, or in Millard off of 144th and Giles Road at Woodhouse Place Mazda. You won't find a more streamlined sales process with a friendly and knowledgeable staff. No pressure sales. That's always been big for me. It's the final days of the Season of Inspiration event. So stop in, shop online, and find the Mazda vehicle that is perfect for you. And trust me, as a Mazda owner of a Mazda SUV, with the cold weather, the heated steering wheel, heated seats, all those come in handy during these times, and you'll be hard-pressed to find a safer and smoother ride. Happy holidays from everyone at Woodhouse Mazda and the Woodhouse Auto family. A drive worth experiencing.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. The Connor Happer Show.
Connie Mack only won 9 pennants in his 55 years as a manager. What a bum.
Could you imagine sports radio in the time of Connie Mack? Well, I tell you, this Connie Mack guy just can't get it done. Can't win the big one. Can't get over the hump. Only 5 World Series. Connie Mack, more like Connie Hack. Am I right?
That's exactly how they talked.
The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Winter storm warning in effect Wednesday afternoon in the metro. Expect a cloudy and cold morning, then light snow starting afternoon. Highs will top out in the low to mid-20s. Snow will pick up in the evening, and so will the winds as Arctic air surges in. Expect areas of snow and blowing snow through the night with 2 to 4 inches possible by Thursday morning. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine on 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burden AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a little bit of slowdown near 90th and L Street. Then on Highway 370, be prepared for a little bit of a delay from 84th to 72nd. And along Center, it looks like things are slowing down just a little bit from 192nd to 183rd. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More.
Hi, I'm Mark Evans, owner of Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More. Join us in supporting Food Bank for the Heartland. Right now, if you donate 5 cans of food, you can get a furnace safety inspection and cleaning for only $55. Request service at justcallburton.com.
Hey, it's Jan from Toyota, reminding you that Toyotathon is on and here to help make your holidays extra magical. How? Maybe it's driving in a Tacoma in search of the perfect hill to sled down. Hopping from store to store in a Prius to find the perfect gift. You did it. How'd you know? Or it could be something much more simple, like surprising loved ones in a RAV4 hybrid.
You made it, Bobby. You're all grown up.
And seeing their faces light up when you pull up to their home. Stop by Toyotathon and make this holiday one to remember. It's the perfect opportunity to gather with your friends and family, both near and far.
Dealer inventory may vary. Current offers on these vehicles end November 30th. Offers are subject to change throughout Toyotathon, which ends on January 3rd. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Toyota, let's go places.
See your independently owned Omaha Metro Toyota dealers. Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, Village Point Toyota of Omaha, or Baxter Toyota of La Vista.
Hello, friends. Kent Pavelka wishing everyone happy holidays and best wishes for the new year from John Higgins Weather Guard. You know, we're fortunate to live in such a great community with a strong economy, good schools, and public service, along with a high level of health care and simply a great way of life. We appreciate everyone who's done business with us, and we look forward to meeting new customers in the new year. Happy holidays from your fans, the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard, America's leading installer of Da Vinci roofs.
This week, Zone has 5 great deals, half off. That's right. Each day this week, we'll have a new deal, half off, that is perfect for those last-minute gift ideas. You'll find deals from Early Bird, Le Voltaire, Ted and Wally's Ultra Premium Ice Cream, Shug's Comfort Food, and Palm Beach Tan, all for half off. Make sure to log on at 9 a.m. each day to see what deal we have available, because these half-off deals will go fast. Head to 1620thezone.com and click deals now.
We tried Dynovite nutritional supplement, and after a couple of weeks, we noticed a big difference. Our little Gizmo's coat was shinier, and there was a lot less scratching and shedding.
My dog smelled and scratched constantly. We bathed and sprayed her, took her to the vet, but no results. Now, a little Dynovite in her food helps Bella keep her beautiful coat with no scratching or smell.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dynovite.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Happy National Signing Day, everybody. Now that we're getting used to having a signing day in December, where you've got high school prospects that are signing or flipping, and you have portal guys that are deciding. It can be chaotic today, so we try and land the plane with Alan True from 24/7. Good morning, Alan. Merry Christmas a couple of days early.
Yeah, today is kind of like our Christmas anyway, so it's okay.
Before we dive in, we kind of go around the Big Ten. You've covered this for a long time, and you've also seen impacts of coaches that in the coaching hiring cycle, they get hired at the end of November, and they have about 3 weeks of fast forwarding to try and salvage a class or put a class together. And we're going through that again here at Nebraska. And later this afternoon, Matt Rule will announce his first recruiting class, which will be incomplete because there are players that will wait until their all-star games to decide. But your initial thoughts on what Matt Rule and his not full staff yet have been able to do in a short amount of time with this recruiting class?
I think they've done a good job. I mean, right away, when he took the job, he saw him at a lot of high schools in the state. He knew exactly where to be. You know, he went and saw Malachi Coleman. Also wasn't afraid to step out and offer some new players. You know, they went after a kid at Omaha West Side and Jalen Lloyd, who did not have a Nebraska offer at the time, offered him very quickly. Also kind of went outside the state and extended some offers to some athletes that I think we have some upside. He even offered Tristan Alvano, the kicker from inside the state. So it was clear he was paying attention to the players inside the state. He was paying attention to some good prospects who maybe were a little bit under the radar outside of the area. And he definitely hit the road and did a lot of home visits and in-school visitation in order to get this going. So I think in a short period of time, they've not only been able to add new players to the class, but also have kept a good number of players who have previously committed, still committed and signing today.
Alan, with the staff not 100% complete, we know when you have the majority, especially in some key positions, that can be sometimes tricky when you're trying to identify a certain guy. Just in your experience, though, when you do see these coaching staffs coming together, but also trying to finalize a recruiting class, especially that early signing date, how problematic, if at all, is it when you do still have a couple of coaching spots to fill?
It can be tough, and again, this is a relatively new phenomenon with this early signing period and coaching changes happening right before it. And so everybody's adjusting to that. Mm-hmm. I think it does put a lot more pressure or onus on the head man. And so that's why you've seen Matt Rule, I think, take the bull by the horns. You see him personally being at a lot of high schools. You can normally farm that out to a staff. So, and then you have to just get to the recruits and tell them that they're going to have to trust that he's going to make a good hire at some of those positions that aren't filled yet. So you see that a little bit, definitely with Nebraska and Wisconsin at this point in the cycle.
And right now, as Alan True from 24/7 joins us, Nebraska's 44 on 24/7 nationally. Wisconsin, so they make a coaching change, and it was kind of a quick pivot from Jim Leonard might be the guy to all of a sudden Luke Fickell is here. How has Wisconsin been able to keep their recruiting class together, and your thoughts on Luke Fickell's first class?
Yeah, so I think he had a little bit more of a difficult job than Matt Rule because they had the whole interim change, and then a lot of the players in that class were pretty attached to Jim Leonard. And so they lost some players in the class that he had to replace. Matt Rule had to fill some spots, but Luke Fickell had to not only bring in and fill in the rest of the class, he had to fill spots of guys who had left. So I think it was a difficult job. He's getting some of those guys back. The good thing for him, though, was with Matt Rule, I mean, he wasn't coming from another school. Luke Fickell was at least coming from Cincinnati, where they had a recruiting class built and relationships with some of those players. So he's flipped several of those Cincinnati commits over to Wisconsin.
Yeah, and just when you kind of look at the impact, we know that the divisions have one more year between the West and the East, but when you look at the impact of Matt Rule and Luke Fickell from a recruiting standpoint and what that's kind of done amongst its peers, like the Minnesotas, the Iowas, the Purdue's and Illinois, is it been pretty significant in this short time, just from a initial recruiting standpoint, in your opinion?
I think so. I mean, I think the Big Ten West is extremely interesting when it comes to recruiting, because you have really a lot going on that side of the conference. And let's not forget about Ryan Walters at Purdue as well. He's going to be a factor. But you have some dynamic personalities over there. You add, these new coaches to PJ Fleck. You add them to Pat Fitzgerald, who's done a great job at Northwestern. Iowa is always super consistent in what they do. And so I think that side of the conference, anybody can finish one, and anyone can finish at the bottom on the field and in recruiting. I think it almost can flip around in any order in any year. And now you add Matt Rule, Luke Fickell, and Ryan Walters to that. I think there's going to be some very serious recruiting battles on that side of the conference. Watching,
as we're talking to Alan True from 24/7, watching Nebraska's recruiting class, Iowa State has announced that Benny Nagoy is signing with Iowa State, the Lincoln High wide receiver who was on a visit last weekend to Lincoln that Nebraska posed playing on the defense side of the ball. He is going to stick with his commitment and go to Iowa State. What's your thoughts? Because your partner, Steve Wiltfong, was the first to confirm this. And it's when you have a 5-star from Des Moines, Iowa that plays offensive line, this, Alan, man, how does he get away from a place that produces offensive linemen and makes them rich in the NFL? Your thoughts on how Alabama was able to kind of ward off Oregon and others and get Caden Proctor from Des Moines to flip from Iowa to Alabama?
Yeah, so first, this isn't the first time that this has happened, actually. Ross Pierschbacher was a top offensive line recruit from the state of Iowa that left and went to Alabama and had a pretty good career down there. So Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide always have some pull. Now, this was not an easy recruiting battle. It was not an easy decision, I don't think, for Caden either, because he had taken a visit out to Oregon. Oregon had come to see him. It looked like they had a chance to flip him. And he stuck with Iowa for a long time. I do think he really likes Iowa. But when it comes to, Nick Saban, they're pretty persuasive. They had some immediate availability on the offensive line. They've talked about the development piece with him. And then, in today's recruiting, NIL is definitely a piece of this. And I think that those NIL opportunities were available to him at Oregon and at Iowa. But I think that's another part of really this entire recruiting class, but his recruitment also.
I'm assuming you're also following, and we're just learning now, Malachi Coleman is going to be making a decision at 10:45 Central Time on where he's going, and he's signing today. We know it's pretty much Nebraska, Colorado. Are you feeling one way or the other with this one after the decommit from Nebraska?
Yeah, I mean, I think we thought that it was going to be Colorado for a moment in the aftermath of that visit. He had a great time out there. Dion Sanders and his staff are doing a great job. But I think the more that the week has gone on and that visit has, I don't want to say faded, but it's gotten further away from that visit, we feel like the tide has changed back to Nebraska. So I'm expecting Nebraska. Yeah. I don't know that for sure. I don't know that anybody outside of his circle knows that for sure. But we're leaning Huskers at this point, but Colorado's still dangerous.
Welcome. Well, we're in your world. Welcome to everybody's world around college football on this day. Just hoping they keep a class together. There's also part of and keeping Nebraska in the discussion here, because while 23 is being worked on and finalized today, around here, this, Alan, people are looking to 24 and Dylan Raiola and his decommit from Ohio State. Ohio State is a month past getting blown out at home by Michigan, but yet they're still in the playoff. They're still going to have a top 10 class. What's the general thought on where Ryan Day is going right now with recruiting, and also your thoughts on the decommitment of Dylan Raiola and where he ends up?
So first, Ohio State, they're going to be fine. There seems to be a lot of concern among their fan base after that loss to Michigan. They're still 12-1. They still have the number one class in the Big Ten, still in the college football playoff, and they've stockpiled again. I mean, they have 4 wide receivers, I think, in the national top 15, 3 in the top 10. So they're stockpiling at that position. Quarterback has been an interesting position for them, to be honest. They had Quinn Ewers signed in on campus, and then, he transferred out. And in this class, they had Brock Glenn committed. He decommitted. They go and flip a Washington commit from South Dakota named Lincoln Kindhold, who not many people may know nationally, but is a really, really good player, but certainly not the guy that you had pegged in this Ohio State class for a lot of the time. And then now you have the situation with Dylan Raiola, who I do think that reading the tea leaves, it's good news for Nebraska. But I think any concern over Ohio State, to me at this point, is a little bit overblown when you still look at the results that they've put down on the field and in the recruiting class. They have a lot of time to find their quarterback in the 2024 class.
If you're with the Ohio State part of that conversation too, is there something that you can kind of point to when it does come to that quarterback room that something between the transition of Urban Meyer and Ryan Day, where some of those guys aren't just sticking around, or is it just there's just so much talent in that room that guys are kind of seeing right in the wall that it's going to be a little tougher to maybe play as scheduled or on schedule that they thought maybe they would have a chance to?
Yeah, I think that was a lot of the issue. You added Quinn Ewers to a room that already had quite a few highly ranked recruits. You have Kyle McCord, who was a 4 or 5-star prospect, depending on where you look, and hardly gets talked about in the conversation, but he might be the next guy. But they had so many talented bodies in that room that I think that was part of it. People have asked about the development, but when you look at what Justin Fields has done and is doing, and then you look at C.J. Stroud now and Dwayne Haskins before that, I don't really think that's the question. I just think some of these players are finding other places where they might be more of an immediate opportunity to play.
Does Michigan care about recruiting rankings? They're in the playoff for the second straight year, Alan, and I think they have in 24/7 just one guy in the top 100. The recruiting rankings matter to Harbaugh at all?
Well, I live in Michigan, and I've heard enough of his press conferences to tell you no. They don't. But I do think that it's important. They just have always found guys that fit their system, and I think that that's what the team that's winning now is it's a collection of guys who do their job, but then you still have to sprinkle in some stars. And so, they have a highly ranked quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. Donovan Edwards, their running back, was a 5-star. Blake Corum was a high 4-star. And so you have to have some of those guys, but then they do a good job, I think, of finding role players. And so that's where the rankings kind of go out the window, so to speak. But they do a good job with evaluation. So, no, I think I would tell you, and they would definitely tell you that they don't look at that.
Hey, with you being a Michigander, how does a 5-star quarterback from Detroit get out of the Midwest, where ironically he's going to eventually end up playing in the Big Ten after flipping from Oregon to UCLA? How does Dante Moore get to the West Coast and not end up in either of the Michigan schools or in the Midwest?
I almost could repeat my spiel on Caden Proctor going from Iowa to Alabama. But no, Dante throughout the process was going to stay closer to home. I think that the chance to take some early visits, out west caused him to kind of open up his horizons. I think he fits those offenses out there. Really liked Chip Kelly's development. Michigan did recruit him. Ohio State recruited him. Michigan State took a late run at him again. Penn State really wanted him. We thought he was going to Notre Dame for a while. I just think those West Coast schools and the way they play offense were pretty persuasive. And I know the kid pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of a West Coast vibe to him, and he's going to have a chance to compete immediately at UCLA.
Alan, we know that on a day like this, there's always maybe some anticipation that there could be something major, maybe a big-time flip. We know there was a little quarterback talk at some point through some recruiting circles. Do you anticipate any major flipping news nationally here?
Yeah, there will be. And that already just happened. Austin Novosad, a highly ranked quarterback, flipped from Baylor to Oregon, so he now fills that Dante Moore spot for Oregon. And so as those dominoes fall, other things will happen. But there's always some excitement, and I think now the kids know how to play it up. So you see kids hinting at different things, even guys who are committed to schools already, saying that they may have a surprise in store today. So I will take nothing for granted today, and I will say that the safest bet is that there will be some surprises.
Great stuff. Alan, I know you're busy today. We appreciate the time and fantastic work, my friend.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
That's Alan True from 24/7. So 2 developments there. Well, we were in our interview with Alan.
Mm-hmm.
So Benny Nagoy was supposed to announce later today. So Iowa State is announcing their commitments via bobblehead.
Love it, by the way.
Okay.
So they announced. So Benny DeGoey will not be flipping from Iowa State to Nebraska. So he's going to stay with Iowa State and play wide receiver. The Malachi Coleman thing is kind of interesting. So at 10:45, he has announced that he will be signing. I will not be able to watch it because he blocked me on Twitter, which is fine. But he is going to share a link.
Yeah.
I think he's back to Nebraska. I
Feels
think
like it.
I think when he puts his feet on the ground and you say, where can I become the best football player that I can? Also be developed on and off the field, play in my hometown. NIL is a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the best fit for me? I was intrigued. I went through the whole show at Colorado. I don't blame anybody. You get to do this once in your lifetime.
Right.
But I think when he looks at what he does well and what he needs to do better, the Nebraska model fits him. And, in a short span of time, because he was connected to Mickey.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mickey was basically his mentor. Okay. And then Mickey's in jail. And Malachi Coleman doesn't know what's going on. And so he decommits from Nebraska. The next day, Matt Rule, who he doesn't even know, shows up at his school and shows up at his home. And then Colorado gets involved. Like everybody, people are like, okay, is your recruitment serious? If it is, we might have a spot for you. But he chooses to go to Colorado. I think if he makes the smart play for his future of football, Nebraska's the pick for him. But we'll see. 10:45. I mean, he's somebody that's kind of a wild card that you don't know what he's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe that he will recommit to Nebraska.
Agreed. The track record. Look, I don't want to make it sound like, hey, Dion and the staff, it's going to be all flash. It's going to be just trying to use NIL, trying to use the Dion brand to build this elite roster. Dion and his staff, I think in time could show a track record of development. But this is what Matt Rule is hanging his hat on right now. And there is the track record of that. It's already been established. So when it comes to understanding where you can start off and how you can be developed through the system, it just seems like it's, dare I say, safer for Malachi to wind up in Nebraska. And I know it sounds crazy because it's a first-year coaching staff, but when you look at everybody in place there on both sides of the football and that track record going all the way up to the top, man, there is a little bit more history there. It's going to be a factor, too.
Any in-home visits?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
He's all over TikTok, by the way. I mean,
Did he go back?
Well, he did an interview with Shannon Sharp that was actually really good that I watched yesterday. So they got Dion selling his own gear. So you can buy Coach Prime gear through the Colorado website.
I saw that.
But I don't think, he's got Tim Brewster, who is a really, really good recruiter.
Mm-hmm.
And he just hired Charles Kelly from Alabama. So his staff I think he's made some good hires in his staff. Now he's bringing a lot of people from Jackson State, and they're going to have to adjust to,
right?
Coming from Jackson State to Group of Five or a Power Five football. In that transition, we saw that here firsthand. But I kind of like some of the additions to his staff. But in recruiting, I don't know that did he do any home visits? He was trying to prepare for a football game at his old school while he was in Boulder, but I don't know if he went out on the road recruiting.
I don't either.
I think they just brought everybody to campus, and I think Brewster did a lot of the in-home recruiting. And they just bring everybody to campus and put them in a shed with fancy cars and say, hey, this is a Lamborghini. Do you like it?
Right.
Dion drives one. One day you can too.
Is the Coach Prime gear better than the Big Baller gear? I bet it's about the same price.
So.
I bet it's about the same price.
He's got gear. He's got like his autograph on the back of it, the logo. Are you more likely, if you're a Colorado fan, to just buy CU gear or Coach Prime gear?
For the first year Coach
because
Prime
he makes money off the Coach Prime gear. That's part of his deal.
But it's it's the wave of excitement. So for a year, you're getting your Coach Prime gear. You have to.
Wonder what will his first home visit be like. Well, that'd be kind of cool. I mean, Deion Sanders is in your living room.
Well, yeah. That alone is big.
But I don't think in the 3 weeks that he did any in-home visits. I never saw, because you would see pictures.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you'd be hosting him and his whole team. So it wouldn't just be like him and an assistant coach that were coming to visit you.
Yeah.
That'll be, you know what? Did he do that at Jackson State? Did he make any home visits? I mean, he was attractive at Jackson State. I mean, just like he's going to be at Colorado. He's very attractive to a 17, 18-year-old kid. I don't recall like him doing in-home visits at Jackson State because he's going to have to.
Yeah, well, nothing
he's
that
going to have to go off camp. I don't care,
Some of these guys,
Deion Sanders, Ray Lewis, whatever. I mean, well-known name. You still have to go out and visit.
Right.
I would think. I mean, I don't know how you could live without doing that at the Power 5 level.
Does the name, the brand, and just Deion's personality, I mean, does it speak for itself without having to, go through the grind of recruiting? I can't imagine it would.
He may think that.
Yeah, yeah.
That
and maybe you get a little fool's gold early on where it's like, I did fine.
Maybe he did put that out there. He said, you know where to find us. You're a recruit. You know that they're in Boulder. Call us up. We're not going to come find you.
A home visit could be the difference.
I don't think you can do that, though. I think at some point he's going to have to get out on the road and recruit. Yeah. Now, will he like that? That's another question.
I don't know.
Will remain to be.
That'd be too bad because I could see him being so good at it. Just getting in the house and charming the family and the kid could be the complete difference between, okay, I'm going to Colorado.
Yeah,
versus,
winning over the living room.
Yeah.
But
no, I mean,
that's require a lot of work.
They are, Wisconsin is 64th in the rankings. Wisconsin has 12 commits in their class. I'm scrolling but here's somebody who, Indiana with Tom Allen, who I think they should have moved on. They have 10 commitments, and apparently there are 2 that are really, really shaky.
Ooh.
Where is Colorado at? I'm scrolling here. I think I may have passed them. Because they did not honor any of the 13. So they are 59th on 24/7. They have 13 commitments because they did not honor any of the 13 that were committed to the previous staff.
Which is interesting there.
So they have Dylan Edwards, who's the running back from Wichita, who they got to flip from Notre Dame. That's a huge pickup.
Yeah, that was the big one. Was that end of last week, right?
Yeah, because originally he and Avery were going to K-State together, and that Dylan decommitted and chose Notre Dame. And
so they have 4 transfers. His Travis Hunter and his son are not in this yet.
Okay. Sounds good. Now, who was the quarterback that transferred out once they knew Deion's son was coming in?
Quarterback of a team that was 1-11 last year. That's who that quarterback was.
That's actually, well played.
Coming up in the next hour, Jalen Lloyd, who is signing as he's already in the mix. He has signed the two-way player from Westside. Will be headed to Nebraska. He'll join us coming up at 8:30. Scott Shanley stops by at 9 for our weekly chat about the NFL, which will challenge the NBA this weekend on Christmas Day. 3 NFL games. There are a couple of like who would have thought the Denver Rams game on Christmas would be but they will go up head-to-head with the NBA. The NFL against the NBA on Christmas Day, like it should be. And RIP the Blue-Gray game. Also, Brandon Vogel with his thoughts on signing day. 2:30 today, Matt Rule will speak. USC will carry his press conference about his recruiting class and probably about other things. Will he make a staff announcement today? Will the wide receiver coach be announced today? I don't know that for a fact. I'm just speculating maybe. Maybe you ask that question and he answers. He says, oh, yeah, by the way. Because he does have some off-the-field additions that he will probably speak of, including the one yesterday from the Texas high school ranks. So that's all to come. We roll till 10 on this Wednesday, National Signing Day, on 1620 The Zone. Hey, Santa Barkley is back. Now, he is making it great for you this holiday season, giving new FanDuel customers exactly what you asked for. Unwrap the gift of a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500 back in free bets when you sign up with promo code ZONE. That's up to $2,500 back if your first bet doesn't win. Now's the perfect time to give FanDuel a shot. Not just Santa Barkley, it's Santa Sharp telling you this. The app, it's easy to use, it's safe, it's secure, and it's always giving you great promotions. And when you win, you're going to get your winnings fast. So, right now, help yourself out with America's #1 sports book and get in the holiday spirit with a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500 back in free bets from Santa Barkley when you sign up with promo code ZONE. You got to sign up with the promo code ZONE. 21 over, present in Iowa. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. The best way to catch all the action is on 1620 The Zone. And no line for the bathroom.
Hey, it's Jan from Toyota, reminding you that Toyotathon is on and here to help make your holidays extra magical. How? Maybe it's driving in a Tacoma in search of the perfect hill to sled down. Hopping from store to store in a Prius to find the perfect gift.
You did it. How'd you know?
Or it could be something much more simple, like surprising loved ones in a RAV4 hybrid.
You made it, Bobby. You're all grown up.
And seeing their faces light up when you pull up to their home. Stop by Toyotathon and make this holiday one to remember. It's the perfect opportunity to gather with your friends and family, both near and far.
Dealer inventory may vary. Current offers on these vehicles end November 30th. Offers are subject to change throughout Toyotathon, which ends on January 3rd. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Toyota, let's go places.
See your independently owned Omaha Metro Toyota dealers, Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, Village Point Toyota of Omaha, or Baxter Toyota of La Vista.
T-Mobile says they offer home internet, but if their internet comes from a cell phone network, you should know. It's just phone internet, not home internet. Keep your home up to speed with Cox. Cox internet is faster and has more reliable download speeds than T-Mobile 5G home internet. Cox is the real home internet you're looking for. Based on Cox analysis of Ookla speed test intelligence data Q3 2022 and Cox serviceable areas, visit cox.com/internet for details.
When it comes to e-juice, 42 Degrees always promised that we would never sell any e-juice that wasn't manufactured under controlled conditions. We never mix juice ourselves or add nicotine. Why? Because we won't take a chance with your health. So when it comes to premium e-juice that tastes great and is available in disposables or bottles, then check out our e-juice department and find out why 42 Degrees is your source for all your e-juice needs. Buy your mom's house.
This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Some things can wait. Decorating for the holidays. Shopping. Hey, there's always next day delivery. But if you're 50 or older or live with a chronic condition, untreated COVID could be deadly. And if you don't get treatment within days, you might not be able to. So, got COVID symptoms? Talk to a doctor and get treatment right away. Because it just can't wait. We can do this. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Creighton coverage on the Zone is presented by Berry Law. At Berry Law, we fight alongside those who choose to fight back. Call Berry Law at 402-999-7777 or visit berrylawfirm.com. At Berry Law, we're in it to win it.
Guys, 2022's been a roller coaster year, so spoil her this Christmas by giving her the next best thing to wearing nothing at all. With soft, silky, naturally nude pajamas, exclusively from Pajamagram. Sensuous and smooth, naturally nude pajamas feel just like her own bare skin, even more alluring than lingerie. The texture and touch of these pajamas is so seductive that you'll both love the feel of them. She'll love the feeling of wearing next to nothing at all, and you'll love the way they look. Best of all, Pajamagram does the wrapping for you with free gift packaging. Order today, and Pajamagram will also include a free matching naturally nude nightie with the purchase of naturally nude pajamas. That is free gift packaging and a free naturally nude nightie when you order today. Just go to Pajamagram.com. It's fast, easy, and delivery by Christmas is guaranteed. That's Pajamagram.com.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect some significant slowdown along Highway 370 from Richland Drive all the way to 72nd. And then on L Street, be prepared for some major delays from 96th all the way to 79th. And then on Industrial Road, it looks like things are slowing down just a tad bit near 149th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Help someone on your Christmas list get their Fernando's fix with Fernando's gift cards. Buy $100 and get a $20 gift card for yourself. Only at 75th and Pacific or 114th and Dodge. Hurry, offer ends soon. Feliz Navidad from Fernando's. FernandosOmaha.com.
The holidays are here. This holiday season, we encourage you to come support our local stores in Omaha. And Westwood Plaza has everything you need to find that perfect gift. Boots for Less inside Westwood Plaza has been Omaha's home for work boots and Western boots for men, women, and children for 30 years. We're proud to offer a discount to our military and union members. Stay tuned for our new online store. Come grab some great holiday gifts at Boots for Less, 122nd and Center inside Westwood Plaza. If that holiday cheer has you feeling blah, stop by Rexius Nutrition in Westwood Plaza, where their goal is to help you lead a healthy lifestyle and in turn, help you look, feel, and live the way you envision. At Rexius Nutrition, we strive to give each and every customer personalized care and service so you can reach your maximal potential. We love nutrition and know it can change a person's life. Come see us at Rexius Nutrition, 121st and Center inside Westwood Plaza. Everything you need to shop locally for the holidays is at Westwood Plaza in Omaha.
Duck Defense Midwest makes your home healthier and improves the life of your HVAC system. So improve the health of your home and everyone in it. Go to cleanairradio.com for a special duct cleaning offer for Zone listeners. That's cleanairradio.com.
MD West One's team of neurosurgical spine specialists is the largest and most advanced in the greater Omaha metro. MD West One has been voted the #1 private practice and #1 in neurosurgery and spine by Best of Omaha year after year. They can help if you're suffering from recurring neck and back pain, weakness or numbness in your extremities, sciatica pain, or any other recurring issues stemming from your neck or back. Go to mdwest1.com to meet the spine team at MD West One.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
This message is for the guy who isn't perfect in the bedroom. And let's be honest, who is? Maybe the issue is getting it up or keeping it up, or maybe it's finishing too soon. If any of these performance hiccups sound familiar to you, don't sweat it. Hims can help. At 4hims.com, you can go online and get clinically proven prescription medication that treats these issues, prescribed for you, if appropriate, by licensed medical providers. And the medication is shipped free to your door in discreet packaging. Plus, Hims gives you unlimited follow-up visits with medical providers. No one's perfect in the bedroom every time, but with Hims, you can get a lot closer than before. And chances are, your partner will agree.
To get started today, go to 4hims.com/perfect. That's 4hims.com/perfect for your free visit. FORHIMS.com/PERFECT.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Halftime brought to you by Heart Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off 680 and 48th Street, next to Cubby's. It's Heart Cigars and Pipes Lounge.
With the music, there was baseball news over the night. Carlos Correa, you're waking up. People are checking their phones. I can't imagine if I'm a Mets fan or a Giants fan. I checked my phone, and Carlos Correa is a Met. After the Giants yesterday canceled their press conference to announce their newest addition, who would agree to a 13-year deal. They said there was a physical that was there was a red flag. Doctors say they cleared him. Giants said, Carlos Correa said, I'm out. Actually, I think he had second thoughts. So he has a 12-year, $315 million deal with the New York Mets.
I guess starting third baseman for the New York Mets.
I guess Steve Cohen is in Hawaii. It would be great for the Yankee-Met rivalry if on the day that the Yankees, and they're supposed to do it here in the next hour, announce Judge returning, if the Mets had Correa and a presser. That would be even more of a black eye for the Giants. It is a PR nightmare for the Giants that Correa had second thoughts. Because that's a big win for the Giants. They wanted to spend money, make a splash. They went after Judge. They thought they had Correa. Now the Mets have Correa and $800 million tied up into guaranteed contracts.
A little pressure there. How do you salvage this? You can't, right? If you're the Giants.
No, there's nobody.
There's nobody left.
Yeah, there's nobody out there. Dansby Swanson is gone.
Which
Bogarts is gone.
Is, by the way, and I think you mentioned this a week ago when we were talking about the Giants getting Carlos Correa. The hot stove compared to some previous years recently has actually been fun. You haven't had that, well, we're going to push it off to spring training, some of these major potential blockbuster deals. It's been good. It's been great. But I think we do this in, every offseason when there's, whether it's a draft or there's, just free agency going on. And we talk about the winners and losers. Like the Giants, you had to do what you're trying to do, but there's just nothing out there right now that you can bring in and throw a lot of money at and that you're going to feel good about what you accomplished. As I said earlier, you can live with finishing runner-up to the Yankees with Aaron Judge. You can live with that. But when you have a guy with not 100% signed, sealed, and delivered, but agreement in principle, you put out the press release, everybody is aware that, okay, just, a couple of formalities here, but we've got our guy. And then in just the blink of an eye, and it just switches, stays in the league in the National League too, and goes to a team that's already made so many splashes in this offseason. It's unrecoverable as far as trying to, I don't want to say even bolster your roster, which obviously that would have been a major part of it, but just being able to put yourself in a position in that division that is keeping up. The Padres done their part. Dodgers always do their part. The Giants are trying, but you know what? At some point, trying's not enough. You got to deliver it. And that is, as much as I look at the Mets acquisition and look at that lineup, look at the left side of that infield, which is phenomenal now with Frankie Lindor at short, it's hard not to just look at the Giants and just say, what the hell? Wow. How does that happen? And I'm sure there's a lot of it that has to do with Carlos Correa himself, as you pointed out. Second thoughts, maybe some other influences that were continuing to be persistent, but wow.
So this is the Mets real quick here on our hot stove on signing day. Verlander, Scherzer, Senga, who they just announced. You have Jose Quintana and then Cookie Carrasco. That is their starting five on the mound. Nimmo, Correa, Lindor, Alonso, McNeil, Canna, Vogelbach, Sterling Marte, and then Francisco Alvarez, who is their number one prospect, will be their catcher. That will be their everyday lineup in New York.
It's not bad.
It'll be a must-watch team. Also convenient that every team plays in every ballpark this year.
I look forward to Astros-Mets World Series, rematch of the 86 LCS.
What do you think Carlos is going to feel when he gets to San Fran?
That'll be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That'll be really, really uncomfortable. That'll be uncomfortable when they play the Twins. Twins went all in on him. Twins are in the same scenario. Where do they go at shortstop? Because they were going to make a splash.
Mm-hmm.
The other big news nationally today, Franco Harris passed away overnight, who is part of the greatest play in the history of the NFL, the Immaculate Reception, which celebrates its 50th anniversary this year. And the Steelers were, and they still are, going to celebrate it on Saturday night. They play the Raiders. So the NFL knew this was coming. They put this game together. And also the Steelers announced a while ago that for only the third time in the history of the legendary black and gold, that they would retire a number. And they were going to retire number 32. and remember, in 1972, when that play happened, and it's even more significant because that was a playoff game, is Franco Harris was a rookie. And everybody knows what he went on to do. He went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame like in 1990.
Yeah.
It's weird because he didn't finish his career as a Steeler. He had that weird year. He got cut in 84, and he went to Seattle, and it just didn't seem right. There's always those players that have played with one team forever, and then in a different uniform, you go, like Brady to the Bucks.
Joe Montana.
Yeah. Joe Montana almost got the Chiefs to the Super Bowl. He didn't look right in a Chiefs uniform. Like Franco Harris in a Seattle uniform. I remember I was collecting football cards back then. I got a Franco Harris Seattle Seahawk card. I was like, that doesn't look right. But, he's always a member of the black and gold. But I also, when I was a kid, and when I was growing up, that was the heyday of the Steelers. And it also living in Iowa, you have the black and gold of the Steelers. Iowa wears black and gold. You buy a football jersey, and it could either be a Steeler jersey or it's a Hawkeye jersey.
Yeah.
But I just remember a lot of my friends had 32 jerseys. And when you would play, Pop Warner football, every kid wanted kind of have the Franco Harris hip pads that came up like by your side that were very visible.
Yeah.
It's, and again, you fly into Pittsburgh, his statue is pretty prominent. Everybody's got to go down the escalator to go to baggage claim. And right there is this gigantic statue of the Immaculate Reception. And, a guy that, it's Franco's Army. Remember that sign that you used to see at Three Rivers Stadium? The Italian-American community embraced Franco Harris. He opened a bakery in Pittsburgh. He has a bunch of charitable causes. You could find him in a lot of different places in Pittsburgh. You could be at a Sheetz, and there would be Franco pumping gas into his car. And especially coming up on the night that they were going to retire his number, and they still are. I think I just saw that from the Steelers. They're going to follow through and retire it. He was everywhere. He was making the entire tour of Pittsburgh. I think he dropped the puck at a Penguins game not too long ago.
He's actually why I played that song, because Super Bowl IX highlights, I can see Franco running and John Facenda narrating. And it ties into the baseball thing too. But yeah, Franco was actually where that song kind of popped in.
It's a very, very sad day in Pittsburgh, of course, and throughout the football world. All right, welcome back in. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on this signing day. Jalen Lloyd from Westside is going to join us here in a little bit. Malachi Coleman at 10:45 will announce his decision. Fellow Lincolnite Benny Nagoy has stuck with his commitment to Iowa State. There's a couple that are out there. I don't think, if you're scrolling through over there, Nick, I have not seen if Eric Fields has announced his decision yet today.
No, I've not seen that one. And you were the first one to kind of bring him up. And I was hearing from some other people who cover recruiting that staff likes him a lot.
Yeah, but you looked at his film. What do you think?
It's fast. That combination of speed, the lateral speed, but then the thumping ability too. That stands out too, just getting to the ball carrying with a stick, but with the speed that he does it. And when you think of speed, you think of Matt Rule system.
Yep, that sounds like a lot of the Baylor dudes he had.
Nick in the Equitable Bank inbox says, Zane Flores, ? Well, Zane has just signed with Oklahoma State.
No question mark.
But it's a big day at Gretna. Gretna's having, I got Demon, Goldman are coming to Nebraska. I think Mr. Roll is signing as well. The wide receiver who got hurt and didn't finish out the year, but he's extremely talented. I'll tell you a quick Zane Flores story. So he's going to go to Oklahoma State. I'm going to tell you that he's going to be really good in the Big 12. And his story of not staying home will come up numerous times. Every time that Zane Flores does something. Hopefully Nebraska gets to a point where they have a quarterback that you're like, you know what, Nebraska, Oklahoma State got their guy, Nebraska got their guy. Good on both schools. But he never got an offer from Nebraska, which will be the most mind-boggling thing in the history of recruiting in this state, that somebody as talented as him at a position where this state doesn't produce a lot of quarterbacks, very few quarterbacks, he never, ever got an offer, even a token offer, even a non-committable offer, never got an offer. Never. And then it plays out where Oklahoma State builds up a relationship, and it's a really, really good family. They were committed to Oklahoma State. Despite people wondering, they were always committed to Oklahoma State. There was no wiggle room. It had a lot, they committed on Easter to Mike Gundy. They stuck with Oklahoma State. But I will say this for Nebraska. 2 different people tried to get in there. One, Mickey Joseph is named the interim head coach. First call, Zane Flores.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we're sorry. How you doing? Thanks for the phone call, but committed to Oklahoma State. Really appreciate it, though. But that phone call that Mickey Joseph had really helped a couple other prospects at Gretna, because it wasn't just one call to a quarterback at Gretna. It was, hey, we know you're a good football program. We're coming. We're coming to recruit Gretna.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They got 2 of them. I mean, that phone call went a long way. Now, here's the next one. And now I can tell this story because it was told to me a couple of weeks ago on the first day that the coaches could be out. So Marcus Satterfield goes to Gretna, and he's going there. Corver Dema had already committed as a preferred walk-on. He went there to see Mason Goldman, who announced publicly the other day that he was going to go to Nebraska. And Nebraska, he was leaning towards Kansas State. But Nebraska and the new staff, they made a push. So Marcus Satterfield goes to Gretna. And he's there to see guys, one that's already committed, another one to say, hey, we want you. You're in Gretna. And, you go into the coach's office and you sit there and you do all the pleasantries. And in this case, you introduce yourself because they don't know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Then Marcus Satterfield says to the Gretna coaching staff, hey, I would like to meet Zane Flores. And they were like, coach, I don't know. So Zane was in class, and they contacted Zane. And they said, hey, the new offensive coordinator at Nebraska is here. He'd like to meet you. Zane was a little hesitant. I'm like, I'm not going to Nebraska. So he comes down to the coach's office, and all Marcus Satterfield does, very wise move. He just wanted to shake his hand and congratulate him on his high school career. He didn't try and recruit him at that point.
Mm-hmm.
He almost kind of apologized that Nebraska made a mistake, and basically to say, Nebraska will never make that mistake again of letting somebody like you get away. But he just wanted to shake his hand and wish him luck at Oklahoma State. And I imagine also just, hey, not say this publicly, but by your presence and how you approached him, if it ever doesn't work out, we could be a bounce back option. So their approach, which I thought was great, hey, we're not going to try and convince you. We're new. We want you. We just want to say congratulations on a career and good luck at Oklahoma State. I thought that was a brilliant move instead of trying to play the, hey, we're new. Let me tell you about ourselves. Look what we're going to do. We want you to reconsider. They didn't go that route.
It's just building relationships.
And I think that goes a long way towards that high school, that young man, that family, other people in the Gretna community, because that's going to be a program that will continue to produce high-level football players, that there's some adults that are at Nebraska.
Yeah.
Okay, and they had the right approach, and you never know. You never say never, but he's going to go to Oklahoma State, and he will be very good in college. And, I mean, we got to watch him for 4 years. But I thought that was the right approach to take for this staff, because the kid has heard so much about Nebraska and how come Nebraska didn't offer you and why you're not going here. And the new staff didn't want to re-recruit him. They just said, hey, congratulations. You had a great career, and the Nebraska mistake will never, ever happen again.
Had you ever been called into the principal's office or even a coach's office and you knew before you even got there what it was going to be about, and you're kind of dreading it? Like, this isn't, I got to go. They're asking me, but then you walk in and it's something completely different. And you're kind of like, oh.
I can breathe easy now.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And that type of impression, I think you hit the key word there, adult. It's a very adult thing. And
well, you know why? You know why you had to approach recruiting him as an adult? Because that's a top-notch family.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not into the Mickey Mouse Club.
Mhm.
Okay. And I thought that approach, and Mickey tried.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, there are guys in the football office at Nebraska were like, that just arrived, said, why didn't we haven't even offered this kid? Okay, so Mickey tried, but I thought the back end approach was an adult talking to a young man who is an adult, but comes from a family that is the real deal, and they're not into the Mickey Mouse Club. That they would go, hey, this is kind of, hey, all right, coach,
Yeah.
what's your pitch?
Yeah, it's shown respect. And as you pointed out too, it's in a way by saying that you are apologizing that the previous staff did not give you that type of attention, that did not offer you. And yet you are also in a very, what I imagine the way you're describing it, somewhat of a shorter interaction. You're saying a lot. And you've got witnesses, you've got coaches. They're seeing that too. You are telling them what you're about. This goes all the way back to when they were hosting, juniors that first weekend and talked about meeting the position coaches' families, doing something a little different, but something that feels like it actually does mean it's authentic. And look, that's not going to win everybody over. I'm not trying to say like this is the formula here to all of a sudden get anybody you want. It's an approach, though, that you can respect. And I think that's the word that I keep coming back to is there seemed like after that, what you just described there, how could there not be mutual respect? Even though you understand you're not going there right now as the student athlete itself, you appreciate and respect that sort of gesture. And you're also, as the coaching staff in Satterfield, you're giving off that impression of, hey, we're going to do this the right way. It's going to be authentic, and it's showing you what we're about. I agree. That's the only way you could go about it.
I think it's a really cool story. I really do. Just because of the relationship building, and we've talked about that since Matt Rule was hired about what they're doing with coaches, but just in general. Just you're planting seeds for the future by doing things the right way, which is the way it should have been done in the first place.
It's so different.
You know what? They're going to recruit in state, and they're not going to get every kid in state that they think is worthy of a scholarship. And I add this all the time. Not every good football player in Nebraska deserves a scholarship from Nebraska. But those players that they think are scholarship worthy that they've offered and they don't win, you never know about bounce back.
Yeah.
I mean, look at we got a quarterback that committed to Rice last night that is on his fourth school. JT Daniels has played in the Big 12, the Pac-12, the SEC, and now the AAC, and he's going to be throwing passes to Luke McCaffrey at Rice. Okay, so it's ridiculous to burn bridges.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous to burn bridges, especially with in-state products that you could get a bounce back. You establish a relationship. It doesn't work out. You win some, you lose some in recruiting. But you know what? Guys now are on to their second school, and maybe that's your second school to come home, and you already have an established relationship, and it was a good relationship.
Yep.
And even beyond.
And then
even
you could start tampering.
Emoji game.
I just don't think that goes on at all, but I'm just saying in case.
Started so wholesome.
It feels. I mean, even in what has this been, a month, feels so much different than what we saw in the last 4.
No, it's a good
years.
feeling. It really is.
All right, Jalen Lloyd, who is in Nebraska's recruiting class from Omaha West Side, he will join us coming up next. Scott Shanley, Brandon Vogel as well on a Wednesday edition on National Signing Day, right here on 1620 The Zone. Hey, shop Woodhouse Buick first and experience the difference. Now, with the weather like it is in the first day of winter, you want to stay safe and warm in a new vehicle from Woodhouse Buick GMC. Something that gives you a remote start, heated seats, heated steering wheel, traction selection system, advanced temperature control, all of those things that keep you safe and warm this winter season. And you can stay safe and warm in the large indoor showroom on 119th and I. That's Woodhouse Buick GMC. You can also stay warm while you're navigating their website. They've streamlined the entire process because they make it easy on you, and especially online where you still get the same service at WoodhouseBuickGMC.com. Check them out today, 119th and I. Shop Woodhouse Buick GMC first, the huge indoor showroom, in-store or online anytime at WoodhouseBuickGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. The Connor Happer Show.
Matt Rule has quote tweeted himself and did a king hat. What's a king hat called? Josh,
it's a crown.
What's a crown and a flame, a fire emoji. Are you sure that's what it is? A crown, not a king hat?
The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Winter storm warning in effect Wednesday afternoon in the metro. Expect a cloudy and cold morning, then light snow starting afternoon. Highs will top out in the low to mid 20s. Snow will pick up in the evening, and so will the winds as Arctic air surges in. Expect areas of snow and blowing snow through the night with 2 to 4 inches possible by Thursday morning. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine on 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burden AC Heating, Plumbing, and More time-saving traffic center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a bit of a slowdown from 84th to 42nd along Highway 370. Then on Dodge, be prepared for a bit of a delay from 94th to 90th. And on Center, it looks like things are slowing down just a little bit from 192nd to 160th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Omaha's Children's Museum.
This holiday season, give the gift of play at Omaha Children's Museum. Now through the end of the year, save $25 when you give the gift of membership with the Omaha Children's Museum. Visit ocm.org for more information.
With almost everything in life, you have choices. You can pick a lot, a little, or somewhere in the middle. So shouldn't there be an internet plan that's just as clever? One that allows you to add TV or home automation whenever. That's why Cox now offers flexible internet plans, giving you all the services you desire at nothing you don't require. Additional services can be added at then current regular rates. All services subject to residential customer service agreement and acceptable use policy found at cox.com/policies. Restrictions apply.
Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here from my friends at Kugler Vision. If you have money sitting in your flex plan or in your health savings account, it is time for an early holiday gift for yourself. I am talking about LASIK with my friends at Kugler Vision. Visit their website today, kuglervision.com. Let them know that you are sick of bad vision and you are ready to see if you qualify to have one of their 7 vision correction procedures. 402-558-2211 or online at kuglervision.com.
Email unsportsmanlike conduct on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox with whatever is on your mind, from your hot takes to what you think is one. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
At Sid Dillon Chevrolet, we prioritize you and your vehicle needs. Visit our dealerships to shop inventory or to order your new vehicle. Shop online at SidDillonChevy.com.
You are what drives us, Sid Dillon.
Chevy, find new roads.
Give gifts from Greenberg's and receive a Shields gift card worth up to $500. Choose from stunning diamond engagement rings, anniversary rings, pendants, earrings, and more. It will be a perfect gift for both of you. Make a $500 purchase and receive a $50 Shields gift card. $1,000? Get a $100 gift card. $2,000? Get a $300 gift card. $3,000? Get a $500 gift card. Hurry into Greenberg's for this limited time holiday offer. Westroads Mall.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Lulabee's Breakfast, Brunch, and Bar is downtown Omaha's go-to spot for quality food with a Mexican flair. Lulabee's has everything from French toast and omelets to shrimp tacos and burgers. There's even a full bar with uniquely inspired cocktails. Want to have a party? Lulabee's has a fun and festively decorated party room that seats up to 65 of your favorite humans with custom catering available. Book for holiday parties, family events and celebrations, or just brunch with all your friends. Lulabee's, 9th and Dodge, or at lulabeesomaha.com.
Make the right call, fans. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Rooferees. Dingman's Collision Center. We would rather be the best than apologize for anything less.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, our next guest just a couple of weeks ago was headed to Florida. He was going to run track on his way to someday being an Olympian. That's what my fingers are crossed for our next guest. And all of a sudden, today he signs officially to be a football player, run track at the University of Nebraska, where his parents were, and they met in 1999. Great family, great young man. Jalen Lloyd from Omaha West Side, who is now in Matt Rule's recruiting class, joins us now. First of all, thanks for joining us, and congratulations. I know this is a huge day for you, but your entire family. What's this day like now that you made it official on Saturday, but now it's official?
Thank you. This day has been busy, to say the least. Well, we're supposed to sign at the school, but it got canceled. So now we're trying to work things out. But it's crazy. I didn't think a couple weeks ago that I'll be signing to Nebraska.
And now you are. What changed? Why was Matt Rule and his other assistants that got in front of you and then got you down on campus? What changed that you said Nebraska's the right place for me?
It really started with them offering me just them being me being their first in-state offer. It was like huge to me, and the idea of running track and playing football was still there for me. So I had to reconsider some things.
We know that obviously wide receiver coach is yet to be named is part of that. I mean, do you have any insight on when we might find out who that individual is?
I was told not to say.
Okay. Right.
Okay. So Jalen, they've told you the name, correct?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go at it this way. What do you think that they do well that will benefit you to expand your game as a wide receiver in college? Is that a fair question?
Yeah. I think they are really good at developing speed. Not like developing speed as if developing a player to get fast, but developing a football player with speed.
Jalen, you mentioned really today, last 24 hours have been busy. The last 2 weeks, as Gary mentioned, it seemed like you were bound to Florida. You were heading to Gainesville. When you did get back to Nebraska's where I'm going, we always hear stories about this, the hours leading up to actual National Signing Day. I mean, was there still a lot of activity? Was there still a lot of people contacting you and making sure that you felt good with your decision? Other schools making sure you felt good with your decision?
It was not that much, actually. Last time I had talked to Florida was the day before I verbally committed. Other than that, it was just Nebraska I was talking to.
Hey, how do you think your and your mom, who I've gotten to know, and I joked with your dad that she's and maybe you'll disagree. I think she's the best athlete in the family. She was one of the best college jumpers at Nebraska. How does what you do in track and field, and it's not just speed, but how has that benefited you on the football field and vice versa? Your success at Omaha Central and Omaha West Side on the football field, how that helps you on the track and field side of things?
Well, first, I'm the best athlete.
Ooh. Now your mom's going to be calling here in a little bit.
And I think just the the natural abilities that she gave me, like my speed. My dad always told me that I'm not going to be the biggest athlete on the football field. So if they can't catch you, they can't touch you. So that's what I kind of play my game like. And then on the football field, what helps me on the track is just the competitive mindset of never wanting to be beat.
Jalen, I know when you make the decision, when you verbally commit, and so many student athletes, once you make that decision, you've already envisioned yourself in that program, in that uniform, but you probably also maybe start to think about, okay, this is what I want to do when I first get there. When you think about where you are as a standout high school football player and wanting to continue that at Nebraska, have you kind of given thought of the things you want to do first and foremost to develop your game to that level? Where do you think you need to start out?
I haven't thought deeply about that into football, but I have for track. For track, I do plan to, or I hope to, win Big Ten as a freshman. That would be huge. And then the Olympics is 2024, so into my freshman year, I'll try to make the Olympic team. I'll do the Olympic trials, and that's what we have so far for track. I haven't really thought deep about it for football.
Jalen Lloyd from Omaha West Side, who has committed to and signed with Nebraska, joining us. Let's go back to Saturday, and you chose to announce your decision at the North Omaha Boys and Girls Club. And there were a lot of guys there, including Abdul Muhammad, former Husker, who is really, really involved there. Dave Felici, other people that is a special place to them. And you chose to announce your decision where you're going to go to college and your special moment there. And I look at the Jet as in attendance. Steve Warren, who has a special place surrounding you, but also it's Steve Warren that introduced your mom and dad when they were all in school together back in the late 90s. What did that mean to be at that place to announce your decision as an Omaha kid?
I couldn't choose any other place. That is where I basically grew up. Every summer, I spend my time at the Boys and Girls Club. After I hang out at the Boys and Girls Club, I go to practice. So that's where all the hard work is put in. That's where all my fun was had at. And then just seeing like Johnny Rogers there, I know he's a former Boys and Girls Club member, and Mr. Muhammad always there for the kids. And Steve Warren, that's like my family. I call him my cousin. Him and my dad were roommates, so we're really close. So I knew he was going to be there.
Jalen, I want to go back to something you brought up about some of the goals, especially in track. It's just so rare to talk to a high school student that has the goals that you have and are very much aware of what it's going to take. Can you take me through maybe just, especially as you get into track season, that regiment, that structure that I know you have to be very strict about, you have to be very, very disciplined about. And I'm sure that comes, with having the structure that your family does provide. But what is that like? What is that discipline like to be able to accomplish those goals that you are setting out to, especially in track?
Well, first, gotta remember that some practices are not going to be the best. But when you set out big goals, you got to remember every day, like, if I don't do this today, how is this going to affect me later down the road? And same comes with like a diet, like eating this right now. This Olympian, if you want to be an Olympian, you have to do everything perfect. You can't mess up on any little thing, especially at my young age. I know how I'm have to really be on top of everything. And it helps having parents that know track and field really well, especially my mom. She tells me what it takes to be at that level.
Hey, bear with me on this question because it might sound like an odd question, but I'm very curious because you and I share a lot of things in common. You've run the 100-meter dash and the 40. I've done both. You've been clocked in a 4.440. Jalen, I ran like a 5.640 that I was pretty happy with. Now, the 10.43 time in the 100, I might not be able to reach. But I asked this question as a guy that has never had speed. And then again, this might sound like an odd question, but I want you to think about and answer it. What is it like to be fast? This is a serious question. What is it like to be fast?
This is my first year really being fast. Last year or sophomore year, I ran a 11.3, and this year dropped down to 10.4. So it was hard to explain. Like most of my races, I started off really slow, and then somewhere in the race, I usually catch everybody. But it's just like, I don't know. It's just like, I guess like it's almost like flying.
I like that.
Like you just feel yourself gradually getting faster. Hard to explain.
Just the fact that Gary's you and I are very similar. Jalen, the football side of it, and kind of with what you just described there too. You know, there's a part of your high school playing career that you realize, okay, speed is going to be a very valuable asset right now. The confidence as you gained that too, as you realized, you know, your skill set on top of the speed. At what point, you know, in high school did it kind of click for you where you thought, yeah, this is something I also need to pursue because that is a difference. That is something that's kind of setting me apart.
Well, I really started working on my speed for my jumps because we knew that if I wanted to jump what I had to jump, I had to get a little more speed. And I really was not trying to, sophomore year, I really was not trying to even contend at state for the 100. I didn't even know if I could make state. My goal for that year was just to run a 10.9. First meet, I came out and run at 10.7. So that changed everything. Then we just went from there.
Mm-hmm. Hey, what were your first impressions of Matt Rule?
He's great. He's very confident. He's not like arrogant, and he's like, I don't know how to put it. Like, I don't want to say nice. That's like, he's just like, I don't know how to put it.
He gave you a comfort level.
Yeah.
Well, and we know hearing so much about the family atmosphere at Nebraska and Matt Rule, and you know, a lot of the position coaches and coordinators, you know, introducing their family to recruits' family too. And when you think of the family aspect, given, you know, your family too, how big of a deal was that for you too? And kind of going back to what Gary said, it may be the comfort level.
Yeah. The official visit I had in Nebraska was definitely the best one I had, just based off of the comfort level. They brought their family around our family, and my parents, they had a great time. They said they felt like they can go down there and hang out with the coaching staff anytime. That's how comforting it was. And I got to talk to other recruits. I got to talk to the players on the team. I spoke to all the coaches on the coaching staff, even the ones that didn't coach my position. So that I think that was a little different from what I've seen at other recruiting trips.
Hey, one final thing here. What do you think of your new future head coach's emoji game if you're following him on Twitter?
I asked him about it. He just said, if I have any questions, just screenshot one of them and ask him what it means.
Hey, congratulations.
Awesome.
Congratulations, my man. A great fall, great for your family, great for you. And you're going to do big things. And someday I'm going to be watching you in the Olympics, and you're going to remember that I once asked you, what was it like to be fast? All right.
Thank you.
Hey, that's Jalen Lloyd from Omaha West Side. Hey, aren't you guys curious?
That was a great question.
I asked people that can
It's
dunk
an honest question.
I asked people that can dunk a basketball. What's it like to dunk a basketball?
I was so curious when you're going, like, you and me are, you know, we're very similar. Like, we're going to get into athleticism here, aren't we? And There was a time that I thought you were going to throw me out a sub 540 time that a young Gary Sharp ran.
I can't lie, man. I
The
couldn't run
speed
the
of a young kid named Gary Shaw.
Yeah, I couldn't run.
What's it like to be fast?
Did you ever wonder that? Like,
Yeah.
you bump into a superhero on the street one day and you go, hey, what's it like to be fast? Never wondered that?
Grew up with Eric Crouch and I always wondered, how the hell you do that and make it look effortless?
I've been sitting on this question for a long time. I had the opportunity to cover Noel Devine in his senior year of high school in North Fort Myers. And on the sidelines, when he ran by you and he was at top speed, it made a sound. It made a sound when he was full throttle running down the sidelines.
I remember him in West Virginia.
I will never forget seeing him and hearing that as he was, wide open, running away from people. And I always wondered why he was fast.
It's kind of like flying, though. I love the response there.
There's a great story here. So this is, Jalen's got a great story. And again, he's a fan. First of all, we're getting him out of his shell because he's really quiet. So he's a fan, comes from a fantastic family, fantastic young man, going to do big things. But he alluded to Steve Warren and called him uncle. Have you heard the story about Steve Warren's connection to his parents? So mom is running track and field at Nebraska. She was one of the best jumpers in the country when she was in college. And his dad was at Nebraska at the same time. So, and they both graduated from Nebraska. This story's been told to me by two people. 1999. And, I got student athletes, and Jalen's mom makes a bet with Steve Warren, who was playing defense for Nebraska. And they had the Big 12 championship game coming up against Texas.
I was there.
And she said to Steve Warren, if Nebraska wins, she will owe Steve Warren a bottle of Crown Royal. If Texas wins, Steve Warren is on the hook for Jalen's mom. Of course, Nebraska especially defensively, they beat Texas 22 to 6.
Wasn't even that close.
So Delia shows up at Steve Warren's apartment in Lincoln, and she's got the bottle of Crown Royal. Well, Steve Warren's roommate would end up being Jalen's dad. So this was not told me by mom, but this was a little bit from Steve Warren.
Yeah.
She calls Steve Warren's house the next day. She wasn't looking to talk to Steve. But her soon-to-be husband picked up the phone, and that kicked things off, and they've been together ever since.
That's awesome.
That's a great story.
So that's the Steve Warren
cool.
connection to Jalen Lloyd.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, there's the football, and that's what we're talking about a lot today. Like, it's what National Signing Day is, but the rarity of a legitimate Olympic hopeful too. That is just so cool. And we think about the Matt Rule recruiting profile going all the way back to Temple. Speed. It's based around speed. But then you're talking about the rarest of possibilities for guys who are blessed with speed, which Jalen clearly is. And I'm always interested at that age, when you already have your sights set on the Olympics, the discipline. And yes, coming from a family, obviously, that has experience when it does come to elite track and field, that helps. But the discipline, and to be aware of that, and to be able to accept that too as a young person. At 17, 18 years old, I was eating Cheetos. Yeah, I was playing in sports, but I couldn't discipline myself to do that. Like, it takes a special type of individual with that discipline, with that focus, and that can translate onto the football field, the baseball field, the basketball court, the volleyball court, like that type of focus. That's something that I think is awesome. And it makes me really excited to see how that kind of continues throughout his career.
Hey, I'm not alone here in asking what's it like to be fast. Craig on the stream says, I asked Matt Kinson that what's it like question while getting his autograph, and he said he gave him the stink eye.
I laugh because it's
a great question.
But it's a good question, and he had a good response. It's like flying.
I'm a NARP. It's okay for me to ask that. I'm a non-athletic retired person. Okay?
You get done with one of your Omaha games, you talk to a player after, what's it like to be tall? It's an honest question.
I have those cinder block feet.
Wow.
Foot, if you will.
This comes out of nowhere, and this is for Nebraska. So we're trying to do everything here behind the scenes, trying to figure out just subtle emojis and hints. Mike Farrell, who has shifted from being Mr. Rivals guy to being Mr. Portal guy, said good news for Nebraska coming soon. So I think Malachi Coleman at 10:45 is going to say yes to Nebraska. I thought that's what it might be. Nope. Out of nowhere, Nebraska has just gotten a portal signee from Baylor, Josh Fleeks, who is, they list him as a wide receiver, but I think he's a running back. Seeing him this year, I think he's a running back, but they're listing him as a wide receiver. So he has transferred to Nebraska out of the portal. This was a name that was on nobody's radar. He's a fifth-year player. He just played in 3 games this past year. 88 rushing yards over 5 years, 69 catches, 707 yards, 3 touchdowns. Out of high school, he was a 4-star prospect. He went to Cedar Hill High School in Texas. I'm scrolling here to see what his speed was, his time. Yeah. So he's a speedster.
So that would mean he was an original Matt Rule recruit, right? If it's going back 5 years to Baylor.
Yeah, it looked like his first year was 2018.
Yeah. So
okay.
So yes.
Relationships.
His most productive year for Baylor was Rule's last year. He's 6 foot, 205 pounds, 25 catches, 262 yards and a touchdown, 9 carries, 27 yards for another score. So he has 1 more year to play, and he's coming to Nebraska to play for his first head coach in college, Matt Rule. Josh Fleeks, either running back or wide receiver. He's listed at Baylor as a running back, but I wonder if he's going to play wide receiver at Nebraska. He has just committed.
I remember him there.
The numbers aren't great, but maybe the first year Rule knows him. But that's a name that has not been on anybody's radar, and he commits to Nebraska. Just got a confirmation. He is going to play wide receiver at Nebraska. Okay. All right, so that is the latest. Welcome to this day.
Yes, with Texas.
I thought you were going to bust the Cornelius news. Thought we had maybe news on the Cornelius front.
He doesn't go until what, 5? Is that right?
Just before, I think. Yeah, maybe right around there. What time zone? That I don't
know. Ken chimes in. This whole what's it like? He says being tall isn't as great as people think. It's hard to find clothes that fit, and airplanes are torture.
Yeah, airplanes for sure. I can imagine, but also sleeve lengths. Sleeve length wouldn't be great.
I would think finding a bed.
Yeah, true. Got to go like California, Texas King.
All things that I don't worry about.
And this is why you ask the question.
It's just sometimes there are advantages of being stocky.
But
if I had the fro, 6'7".
Fletch.
Yes.
Thanks, boys.
Yep.
Scott Shanley, Brandon Vogel in the last hour of Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Big names, big games. We've got them all. 1620 The Zone.
Hey, it's Jan from Toyota, reminding you that Toyotathon is on and here to help make your holidays extra magical. How? Maybe it's driving in a Tacoma in search of the perfect hill to sled down. Popping from store to store in a Prius to find the perfect gift.
You did it. How'd you know?
Or it could be something much more simple, like surprising loved ones in a RAV4 hybrid.
You made it, Bobby. You're all grown up.
And seeing their faces light up when you pull up to their home. Stop by Toyotathon and make this holiday one to remember. It's the perfect opportunity to gather with your friends and family, both near and far.
Dealer inventory may vary. Current offers on these vehicles end November 30th. Offers are subject to change throughout Toyotathon, which ends on January 3rd. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Toyota, let's go places.
See your independently owned Omaha Metro Toyota dealers, Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, Village Point Toyota of Omaha, or Baxter Toyota of La Vista.
Thank you to everyone who voted for MD West One in the Best of Omaha contest. We are thrilled to announce MD West One has been named the #1 private medical practice in Omaha for 4 years in a row. MD West One is also named first place in the orthopedic surgery and neurosurgical spine surgery. Our 34 board certified surgeons specialize in treating every bone, joint, or muscle condition from head to toe. Go to mdwest1.com to meet the #1 place to go for orthopedic, neurosurgery, and spine.
Funplex has a limited time offer that'll deck your halls. The Funplex is the season pass sale. Save big through Christmas and think warm thoughts as you and yours dream about sun, fun, sliding, and chilling for summer of 23. Not only will you be saving $45 off the regular price, but if you're doing your holiday math, 3 visits and the pass pays for itself. Plus, there's always special offers to season pass holders on concessions, merch, and more. The Funplex 'tis the season pass sale, now through Christmas at fun-plex.com.
Last year, I enrolled my family for health care coverage through the health insurance marketplace. Do I need to enroll again?
Yes, we have seen the plans available through the marketplace change, and new options may be available. You must re-enroll for 2023 to ensure you or your family are in the right plan for your budget and needs. One World Community Health Centers in Omaha can help. Just call 402-502-8888 to set up an appointment with a team member.
I don't have health coverage, and I'm worried that if I get sick, I can't afford the medical bills. How do I get started?
Getting started is easy and free. Just call to set up an appointment with a Navigator enrollment specialist. We will explain your coverage options, answer any questions, help you enroll, and see if you qualify for financial assistance. Open enrollment is November 1st through January 15th. Re-enroll in healthcare coverage or enroll for the first time. Call One World Community Health Centers at 402-502-8888 to set up an appointment.
Here's an opportunity for business-to-business salespeople. NRG Media is looking for someone who gets excited about helping local businesses grow. Are you an idea person who can create and execute a plan? We should talk. At NRG Media, we create local marketing campaigns designed to meet a key challenge. On air, online, on-site, audio, video. It's all part of what you could do. A sales career with NRG lets you make a real difference. Business-to-business salespeople? Apply online at nrgmedia.com. NRG Media is an equal opportunity employer.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Great day for everybody involved. Players, parents, family, coaches. I don't care what level. You get the opportunity to continue to play a sport you played in high school. But the journey is not easy. All of the late nights, the early mornings, all of that stuff. This is a great day. I'm always excited for everybody that is involved and all the pictures that come in, around here of your ceremony in a gym where your son or your daughter is sitting in front of you and the parents are right behind them as they've signed on the dotted line. So embrace this day. This is a great, great day if you ever have that opportunity. So congratulations to everybody. A lot of them go normal. You don't have all of a sudden flips. I can see that nationally, this is going to be a wild day. So Miami is involved right now where they might have a 5-star not commit to them because mom says, hell no, we're not going to Coral Gables. On Nebraska, it's been kind of quiet. Benny Nagoy has been announced by Iowa State, so he will not be flipping to Nebraska. Malachi Coleman will announce at 10:45 today either Nebraska or Colorado, and Nebraska just picked up a transfer from Baylor who first started with Matt Rule. He's a speedster who is going to play wide receiver at Nebraska. There are 12 of the 20 that are in. So Nebraska's class right now is 20. It is not finished today because there are a couple of prospects that are going to wait until January at their All-Star games to announce what they're going to do. So it is a fluid situation. Vincent Carroll Jackson, who is in the portal from Syracuse, who I think Nebraska's in a good spot for on the defensive line. He'll announce later this afternoon. Kyron Jones, who decommitted from North Carolina State, I think is going to go to Georgia but not play running back. I think he's going to play defensive back. So that's somebody else that was on Nebraska's radar. So this is moving pretty quick. And again, Matt Rule will speak at 2:30 today as he will announce his first recruiting class. Maybe he will announce his wide receiver coach. Who knows? Players know.
You at least got the hint from Jalen.
Does Frishman Jackson know?
Yeah. Jalen said, again, he knows.
People are Googling.
And he did give you a little bit of what the coach brings to the equation.
Yeah, that was a week out. He goes, I develop speed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
Is that George Pickens' speed?
I'm starting to lose faith on the Joe Daly front. Frishman. We'll see.
It was fun while it lasted.
For me, it was more sentimental because I felt Joe didn't get a fair shake in his playing time at Nebraska. Fair shake meaning he was put in a bad situation. I wanted to see how he would have done in the newly revamped Frank Solich offense. And maybe I could have asked him that.
Yeah.
No, not bring that up.
First question.
Yeah, probably not.
Joe Daly's got a bright NFL career as a position coach. So maybe we'll get some more. Maybe Matt Rule will just respond to people with emojis today. You ask the question and they have a screen and he just types what his emoji is.
Emoji day.
But how about Jalen Lloyd saying, if you ever see an emoji that I tweet out and you don't know what it means, screenshot it, send it to me, and I'll tell you. Wow. Nice. Welcome to the new era of college football coaches. Scott Shanley coming next.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From Burton, AC Heating, Plumbing, and More, time-saving traffic center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a bit of slowdown along Highway 370 near Gold Coast Road. Then on Dodge, it looks like things have slowed down just a little bit from 94th to 90th. And on L, be prepared for some significant delays from 96 to 83rd. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Hey, it's Ashley from Saul's. This holiday, Saul's is the place to stretch your budget and give amazing designer gifts for up to half off retail. We're also buying your luxury brand items to help you freshen up your style this holiday season. Designer gifts for less at Saul's.
Acura of Omaha has more than 100 quality pre-owned vehicles with most priced thousands below market value. Get our best price in just minutes at AcuraofOmaha.com. That's AcuraofOmaha.com.
Hey, everybody, it's Michael Savit for Rotella's Italian Bakery. Happy holidays from Rotella's. We hope all your gatherings with your family and your friends are merry and bright. From everyone at Rotella's Italian Bakery, we want to wish you a very happy holidays because this is the time for family and gatherings. And when you get together, what are you going to do? You're going to eat. Food is awesome during the holidays, and you want to make sure you have the best sides as well. Whether you need to make some stuffing, or you just need some bread for a side, or you need dinner rolls, the best place to do it is Rotella's Italian Bakery. I have to be honest, I'd never had Rotella's before moving to Nebraska, and it was a tradition in my wife's family, and now it's a tradition in my family to always have at least one loaf of Rotella's bakery bread right there in the bread box and ready to go. So we want you to have a great happy holidays. Rotella's is wishing you a happy holidays. Make sure all your gatherings are awesome by having Rotella's Italian Bakery bread. Head over to 108th and Harrison or one of your local grocery stores. It's 100 years of tradition from all of us at Rotella's Bakery, wishing you a happy holidays.
Creighton Sports Update. Creighton men's basketball is back at CHI Health Center tomorrow as they host the Butler Bulldogs. Tip-off is set for 7 p.m. Limited tickets are available online at gocreighton.com/tickets. That's Creighton versus Butler tomorrow at 7. And that's your Creighton Sports Update.
$16.20 The Zone proudly supports Creighton Athletics.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Come visit Omaha's Little Corner of France for mouth-watering appetizers and entrees, plus melt-in-your-mouth desserts. Pick up your holiday gift cards today or reserve their party room for your holiday gatherings. Les Voltaire will make you feel right at home, just like they've been doing for more than 2 decades. Les Voltaire, just off 156th and West Dodge Road in the Pepperwood Village, and at lesvoltaireomaha.com. Make New Year's reservations now for their 5:30 or 8:30 seatings. More info at levoltaireomaha.com. Come visit Omaha's Little Corner of France for mouth-watering appetizers and entrees, plus melt-in-your-mouth desserts. Pick up your holiday gift cards today or reserve their party room for your holiday gatherings. Les Voltaire will make you feel right at home, just like they've been doing for more than 2 decades. Les Voltaire, just off 156th and West Dodge Road in the Pepperwood Village, and at lesvoltaireomaha.com. Make New Year's reservations now for their 5:30 or 8:30 seatings. More info at levoltaireomaha.com.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Full slate of games this weekend for the NFL. Tomorrow night, big game. Jags and the Jets. And then you have Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. And then you still have a couple more weeks to go in the NFL season. That one expanded to 17, but playoff positioning is on the line. NFL talking more. We welcome in Husker, Super Bowl champion, Scott Shanley. Good morning. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you and the family down there in Texas.
Good morning. Happy holidays. Hope you guys are staying warm up there.
Yeah, thanks for throwing that in there. I mean, you know what we're about to experience. Hey, let me first ask you, because now you're involved in it as your kids have gotten older. Are you familiar with Bob Wager from Arlington Martin High School? He's the head coach. He just got hired here on Matt Rule's staff.
Yeah, well, my familiarity with him goes to just knowing what type of program they've had over the past 3, 4, 5 years. It's been a winning program. They've been, one of the talks around here in DFW when it comes to producing talent in the state and sending guys on to play major college football. So I know they had a really good team last year, and even the games they play against, in our state, the Duncanvilles, the DeSotos, those teams are really, there's a couple teams from Denton. They're always in games. They're always challenging games. So I know they're a very well-coached team. And, I think from my understanding is I don't know what type of position he's going to have on the staff exactly, but I'm sure, it's to tie into the Texas high school football recruiting world, because I know he has a major part with the Texas High School Football Association and has some major connections that way.
Yeah, and you see that a little bit more in collegiate athletics, where you do kind of plug into a certain recruiting territory. Like, Scott, I don't know, just given your experience when you're at Nebraska, if you could really draw on any type of example of that in your experience. But, I mean, just from, kind of looking at the big picture as a recruit and, knowing how important recruiting is that something that you feel is going to continue in college athletics? And do you think there's some value there?
Yeah, I think there's always, ways to find out, to build pipelines to schools, because there's certain schools, and I mentioned a couple already, like around here, where you just know the kids, they produce talent. I mean, there are people here from out of state that will move in, and that's the one benefit to being in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. There's tons of jobs. People will move here for their kids to play sports. Constantly people are moving to the programs, to the public schools to play football or volleyball or whatever they're good at. So there's definitely something to building pipelines to certain schools around here. And if he can do that and build relationships with kids and get them to go up to Lincoln and go into the Big Ten. Because I think, I talked to a former coach on Scott's staff, and he admitted, he said the biggest area we dropped the ball in was not making Texas our emphasis over Florida. And, so I know they regret not recruiting Texas harder, but at the same time, it's a little bit harder to recruit Texas than it used to be when Nebraska was in the Big 12, because a lot of the kids now, when A&M went to the SEC, the 5-star kids automatically wanted to go to A&M because they wanted to go to the SEC if they weren't going to Alabama or LSU or Georgia. So, and now you have Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC. I think it's going to make it a little bit harder to get kids out of Texas, but there's tons of talent in this state. So if you can build networks and pipelines into schools around the state, I think you'll get some pretty good football players.
Hey, you're in the mix here. what's the key to getting a kid to leave Texas and go away from home, not stay in the SEC or the Big 12? Is there a key to convincing a kid like to come to Nebraska? Because Nebraska's got a nice little network of former players that live there that are involved in the game. Do you hear of, hey, these are the magic words to get a kid out of Texas and not stay home?
Well, yeah, I think the one thing is obviously winning. Kids want to win. There's a lot of things. They want to play, they want to win, and they want to go to the NFL. I think that's the majority of the top talent is their ultimate goal is to play professional football. And if you are a school that is producing professional football players, you can win 4 or 5 games a year. But if you lead the NFL draft, which isn't going to happen, but if you lead the NFL draft in guys getting drafted from your school, you're just going to find a way to get 4 and 5 star kids because they want you to get them to the NFL. So that's the number one objective. But they want to play, they want to win. But I really think the NIL really has changed the game as far as that goes. Nebraska, when it comes to football, everybody knows how important football is to the state. Everybody can point to, listen, there's a fan base there that shows up every Saturday, and they haven't been winning a whole lot recently. So I think kids are enticed by that. And I think there's no reason why, like I said, with the NIL emergence, it's a huge draw for kids. And I think if that money starts to creep up, that's how you get kids there before you start winning games and returning to winning championships.
Scott, this day is where, we're talking so much about the recruiting classes, National Signing Day. And I know now with the early signing period in December, as opposed to February, which is different when what you experienced, you mentioned NIL. I mean, does it have a little bit more, a little bit more excitement to what is already an exciting day, knowing that, okay, not only this is where I'm going to be playing college football, but I also stand to make depending on your position and the type of player you are, I stand to make a lot more money than most college students will be making.
Yeah, I think it's exciting. I know a lot of people don't like it. I think for forever, I thought that a kid should be able to make money off their last name. If they're producing on the field, they should be able to have an autograph session. They should be able to do things like that. I think it's gotten it's a little out of control because you constantly hear the reports about the kids who are making millions. It's no different than the first day of NFL free agency. You see the huge deals that are signed, and everybody just assumes that the NFL players are paid like that, and it couldn't be farther from the truth. Those are the 1, 2, 3, or 4 guys that are making that type of money. And I think the same thing with college football. There's certain athletes that are going to change the game when it comes to NIL, and schools are going to really bid for them. But most of these guys, they're getting some good money to be able to live off of. I remember going to school and guys having to box up multiple meals to get through the weekend. So that part of the game, I'm glad that NIL has emerged to give guys a chance, to give guys spending money so they can live normally. But yeah, so you hear about some of these amounts that some of these schools are raking together and putting together funds. It's going to be a huge draw for certain programs.
Scott Shanley joining us here on 1620 The Zone. Let's go to the NFL and let's go to what happened in Vegas. And it's not just Vegas, but there are instances where players go rogue and you'll blame the coaches. The coaches aren't always to blame for situational errors. Where do you lie in that discussion when players go rogue like a Jacoby Myers and makes a move that you go, whoa, they don't teach that on the practice field, especially in New England. Walk us through when you look at situational errors, who's to blame for that?
Well, it comes down to the player because especially the organization and Bill Belichick, what they're about, the Patriot way, that they're one of the best coached, smartest football teams in professional football. But I think plays like that just are a reminder that there are human beings out there. Underneath those helmets and shoulder pads, those are human beings who every now and then, no matter what organization you're in, no matter what team you're playing for or what coach you're playing for, sometimes you just forget what point of the game you're in, what the score is, what you're trying to do. And, I think it's just one of those plays where the running back pitched it to him and he thought, well, that's like lighting the wick and the fire's already burning. So maybe I should do something with it. And I think guys just kind of short circuit under those circumstances. And, guys just lose track of it's not a kickoff return. It's not the last play where we're down, where we're just trying to find a way to win the game. And I think that pitch from the running back just ignited that thought process in Jacoby Myers' head to say, oh, this is like we work on in Saturday morning practice when we're down in the game.
Yeah, 100%. The other thing I wanted to get your thoughts on, another part of the NFL weekend that we're tracking is going to be the availability of Jalen Hurts, sprained right shoulder. You're a 13-1 Philadelphia Eagles team. You know you have bigger and better things awaiting for you in the postseason. But Dallas is a rivalry. Dallas is 3 games behind Philadelphia. If you are in that locker room, Scott, you know your quarterback is banged up but could maybe give it a go. How are you feeling about that situation?
Well, it really, I think as a player in the locker room, you probably talked to Jalen. You've probably seen him in the medical room. You've heard trainers or coaches talk about him. So you have a really good understanding just how severe the injury is. So I think that's first and foremost. If he can go out there and play and manage the game and he chooses to, I think he's earned that right to make that decision because of the way he's played. But I think as a player, you're sitting there saying, I'm willing to sacrifice 1 week. We don't win one game against the Dallas Cowboys and you sit out this week and maybe next week we lose 2 games. Our ultimate goal, we put ourselves in position to do something special. Let's not blow the playoffs by trying to beat the Dallas Cowboys in a game that is meaningless to us now. So you know what your ultimate goal is. You've played a lot of football games already to put yourself in a really good position. Now you're really kind of peeking forward to the playoffs and thinking, let's get ready for this thing and what our ultimate goal is.
Scott Shanley joining us here. You not only cover your team, the Saints, but you live in the Dallas area, so you hear a lot about the Cowboys, and especially coming off a Sunday against Jacksonville. We've spent a lot of time on Dak Prescott, so we don't need to. But the guy that was on the other side of the field plays a huge game tomorrow night against the Jets. You had Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, and Justin Fields all came into the NFL at the same time. Trevor Lawrence being the number 1 overall pick. Now with a new head coach, he looks completely different. What have you seen that is different about Doug Peterson to Trevor Lawrence compared to what he had as his head coach last year?
Well, it proves that coaching matters. It doesn't matter what level. You have to be able to relate to your players. You, as an owner, have to know what type of coach you need to get the most out of your best players. And when the job was open last year, I thought that Doug Peterson was going to be the hire there just because he won a Super Bowl in Philly. He was a quarterback. What do you have? You have Trevor Lawrence. You drafted him number 1 overall. He's a face of your franchise. You're hoping he's going to be there for 15 years. So it just made sense as far as that goes. And it doesn't always work out that way. You can't just hire a former quarterback and now your quarterback's going to play great. But I think Doug Peterson is a good coach. He had success with Carson Wentz before Carson got hurt in Philadelphia. He hasn't seen that type of success since then. So I think Doug has always been a really good coach. He relates to the quarterback position well, much like I saw with Sean Payton and Drew Brees. Drew Brees was a good player in San Diego, but when he came to New Orleans, his game went to an entirely different level. And if you have that type of player, I think it's valid that you go out and hire that type of coach who can relate to him because it can change your entire football team. If you're a defensive football team, if your best players are Ray Lewis and guys like that on defense, you go out and get a defensive head coach, I think it just makes sense. So it's all about knowing what your personnel is as an owner and what side of the ball or what player you're trying to get the most out of.
Scott, a big part of the weekend is going to be the temperatures. And it's kind of crazy to think the Thursday night game might be one of the warmer ones because it might be hovering right around freezing with the Jets hosting the Jags. But you've got so many games that are below freezing, could even be below 0 with the wind chill. So I know you probably have a couple of examples to draw from. What was the coldest situation, and did you go sleeves or no sleeves that you can remember?
Well, I can remember I definitely went sleeves.
Okay.
There was a cutoff point for me. It was usually 20s. If it was in the 20s, I was in sleeves. I wasn't too proud to put them on. But we were just talking about this because the Saints are going to play in Cleveland, and it's going to be 12 degrees with a wind chill of -19 and up to 50-mile-per-hour winds and snow. So that's going to be an interesting game because I think it's going to be with wind chill the coldest game they ever played. The coldest game I played in was the NFC Championship game against the Bears. I believe it got down to 8 degrees real feel with the wind chill, and the second coldest game was a Thursday night game next year in Chicago. So the Saints don't really play in a whole lot of games like that because of the dome and then being the NFC South. Late in the year, you're going to get at Carolina, at Tampa Bay, in Atlanta in a dome. So the weather is going to be a huge factor. I know the guys in Vegas have already set the total points over-under on the Saints-Bears game. I think it's the lowest since 2008. So weather will be a factor this weekend. And I think it is cold on the field. Some of these fields, they're heated, which helps, for the footing. the heaters on the sideline. You sit down on that bench and your entire body stays warm because the heat goes through the entire bench. There's ways to stay warm on an NFL sideline. There's just nothing you can do about it once you get out there on the field.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what is coming where you're going, like to Chicago, for example. I mean, what is there a benefit of practicing outside in New Orleans, getting ready for that game? Because it's still going to be like 50, mid 50s. What did you guys do to prepare for the elements? Anything?
Yeah, I think the only thing that I remember doing is definitely being outside. Probably more so because we had grass out there, so you're getting ready for the footing. But the temperature is what the temperature is. You just have to know there's nothing you can do to prepare for it. I know some teams now will try to go maybe 2 days before and get a walkthrough or their Saturday morning practice in that weather so they can get used to it before the game. That's how some teams are adjusting to it. But it's just hard. It really is. When you're a Southern team and you get used to that, blood gets pretty thin down there. I'll tell you that. I mean, I joked with my parents yesterday when they sent me the weather up there, and I said, there's a reason why I didn't sign with the Chiefs my last 2 years, and I stayed in New Orleans in the Dome. The older you get, the harder it gets to play in cold weather football. Yeah. I do know that.
I agree. Hey, Scott, we appreciate it. Merry Christmas to you and the family. We'll talk to you after the first of the year ahead of the playoffs.
All right. Sounds good. Take care, guys.
That's Scott Shanley. So the wind chill in Kansas City. So the Chiefs and the Seahawks are playing. Wind chill is going to be 17 below at kickoff. There's the swath through the Midwest where it's going to be absolutely miserable this weekend. But did you hear? So everybody has like their own thing when it comes to how you deal with cold weather. Whether you are our wonderful listeners that have to work out in the elements like today and tomorrow and year round, like all the little tricks that they have. Did you hear what Josh Allen does? So, he's getting used to playing in Buffalo. I mean, heck, the guy went to college in Wyoming.
Yeah.
It's not always sunny and 75 in Laramie. So,
far from it.
So, it's kind of worked out because he's used to throwing the football at Wyoming through the wind. He goes to Buffalo where you got to do the same thing. And they go from playing in the Snow Globe game against the Dolphins to they're going to have another miserable game weather-wise with the Bears.
Yep.
I mean, that warm wind coming off of Lake Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
Right in there
Lake
in
of
Soldier Field.
Yeah.
So this is what he said. He doesn't warm up much in the cold, so it's very, very limited. He wears long sleeves and he wears some understuff just to keep his warmth up. But he's got something that I'd never heard before, and I might have to try this, is he puts Icy Hot on his toes.
Oh, on the toes. Okay, so I've heard the Icy Hot
keeps the circulation going.
Yeah, I've heard Icy Hot actually around the armpit area too.
Wouldn't that burn?
Yeah, you would think.
That would just be really uncomfortable.
But it does make sense. I mean, on the toes too, especially because think about now they're obviously a lot more active than we would be. But it's just think about watching a game in one of the colder environments. What's one of the first things you notice that gets extremely cold, like unbearably cold? Your toes.
Oh, I was going to say,
or fingers,
or
extremities.
The beer freezes.
It does.
Yeah, went to a game at Arrowhead in college, and the beer was slush, and you knew you meant business.
Yeah.
That's a different level when the beer
when you go
freezes.
when it's hot and you're like, gosh, I gotta hammer this thing before it gets warm and flat and gross. Now it's like cold game. You're like, gotta do the same thing before it turns into a block of ice.
There are a couple of games in Boulder where the beer froze.
91 game. Yeah, it was like single digits.
12 degrees at kickoff.
Yeah.
Did the urine in the Mountain Dew bottles freeze up too?
Well, you have the story of cheerleaders, it changed a little bit at Boulder with the stadium, but the Del Ward complex, they would put the visiting fans in those small bleachers behind the end zone, and then all the Nebraska fans, they would carry over, and it's still this way in Boulder. I mean, there's a lot of seats that are past, it doesn't curve where you got an angle of the field in Boulder. They've got the one end where the visiting team comes onto the field where they put a lot of the visiting fans is past the end zone.
Yeah.
Like those are terrible seats
Yeah.
in Boulder. I'm sure they'll be available when Nebraska plays there.
Not with not with the Nebraska zip code.
So there were cheerleaders that were up on the balcony of the Del Ward complex. And they were not only throwing snowballs like the rest of the stadium was in that 91 game that, Mike Stiggy's trying to put down a spot and Byron Bennett gets drilled by a snowball.
Right.
It's the Chad Brown 1919 game.
Yep.
There were cheerleaders up there that they thought were throwing urine bombs.
The urine bomb is a very popular thing at Boulder.
Do you provide your own? I would think so.
I think so. I don't think they're passing that out as they're checking your ticket.
That'd be awkward to say, hey, You find a Nebraska fan. Here's a urine bomb, and you don't ask where the urine came from.
Welcome to Folsom Field. Here's your complimentary urine bomb.
$3 if you go to the concession stand.
Yeah, there were cheerleaders up there on the balcony were throwing crap at the Nebraska fans back in '91.
I believe.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it fits with every story anyone has either heard or probably experienced too when you've gone.
We got F-bombed by a 4-year-old in college.
That'd be, you know what? That's a long way away, but I didn't hear anybody like people I know that went in 19. They were like Colorado fans were glad to see it. It's been a while. They were buying beers for the enormous amount of Nebraska fans that were at that game. What do you think the tone will be like in the stadium this year?
Oh, I think it's going to be different.
It's going back to how it was.
I think there's going to be a little bit of puff in the chest.
Yeah.
I absolutely anticipate
that. Dion will get the Buffs riled up before his first home game?
Absolutely.
Will he
expect nothing less?
Will he go after Nebraska? Will he go the Bill McCartney route and say, keep the red out? His AD has already said that. Will the head coach do that?
Oh, yeah. He'll go
I think he will.
Yeah. In 19, all I heard is that everybody was friendly. They were buying beers. You could tailgate with Colorado fans. They were glad to have you. Like, hey, we're both having bad football. Let's embrace you.
Right. Yeah, and it's one thing when Mel Tucker, declares that keep the red out. It's another when Prime does it. No offense to Mel Tucker. He might turn out to be a better college football coach than Dion, but let's think of the influence there.
I think the same thing in 18 when Colorado came to Lincoln. The most Nebraska fans were like, hey, good to see you again.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, old friend.
We're both bad at football. We can relate.
Cheers.
I was sitting in the same spot in that game on Halloween. Screw you, see you.
We should be 1-0. Damn you, Mother Nature.
But glad to have you back. All right, Brandon Vogel still to come. It is National Signing Day. Not a lot off the rail yet for Nebraska. Everybody, Prince Will is in. He is the key piece of this class. Matt Rule's Twitter game is pretty active. He is taking pictures of his staff that are staring at their phones. So they're just Nebraska football coaches are like all of us. Nebraska did pick up a Baylor transfer, Josh Fleeks, who will play wide receiver. His first year in college was with Matt Rule. That ironically was his best year. He hasn't done much the last couple of years under Dave Aranda, but he's got one more year to play, and he will be at Nebraska. Again, Malachi Coleman will choose what he's doing at 10:45. You guys aren't blocked by him. He said he'd send out a link.
Okay.
Is he doing it is he doing it like at home? Because LPS is closed today.
Right.
Is he doing it at home? Is he at Chacho's?
I was gonna say, yeah.
Oh,
that'd be a good one.
Yeah.
Fine meal.
Is he doing it?
It's 10:45, so
lunchtime.
What time do they open?
Is he doing it in front of Memorial Stadium?
A little chilly.
Beat the weather.
So 10:45 he'll announce. Benny Nagoy from Lincoln High is sticking with his commitment to Iowa State. All right, 9:28, off and rolling. Brandon Vogel here in about 15 minutes with his thoughts on signing day in this class, and then what is ahead for Nebraska, because there will now be the transition to, boys, we need to talk about that offensive line and inside linebacker position. That's all still to come before we hand it over to Connor at 10 on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Winter storm warning in effect Wednesday afternoon in the metro. Expect a cloudy and cold morning, then light snow starting afternoon. Highs will top out in the low to mid-20s. Snow will pick up in the evening, and so will the winds as Arctic air surges in. Expect areas of snow and blowing snow through the night with 2 to 4 inches possible by Thursday morning. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, it's Happer for the FanDuel Sportsbook, and Santa Barkley is coming to town, and he's delivering $20 million in gifts this holiday season to all FanDuel customers. It doesn't matter if you've been naughty or if you've been nice. St. Chuck has got something for everyone. Just check your FanDuel app for no-sweat same-game parlays, bonuses, and all sorts of stuff that fill you with holiday cheer. If you're new to FanDuel, now's the right time to sign up, and remember to use the promo code HAPPER The app is easy to use. They're always hooking you up with great promotions. And when you win, you get paid out instantly. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook and get in the holiday spirit with $20 million in gifts from Santa Barkley. 21 and over, present in Iowa. Prize total dependent on customer participation. Wager requirements apply. Gifts rewarded as non-withdrawable site credit or free bets. See FanDuel.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Omaha men's basketball wraps up the non-con on the road in Ames at Hilton Coliseum as they take on the Iowa State Cyclones. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Sharp. Join me courtside. Pre-game at 6:30 tonight on News Talk 1290. Tip-off is just after 7 o'clock for the Mavs and the Cyclones from Ames.
Find your next truck at Woodhouse Buick GMC. No matter where you're heading or what tasks need tackling, there's a premium and capable GMC truck that's perfect for you. Make a statement on the job site, out in the town, or wherever life leads you in the powerful and distinctive Sierra 1500, or elevate your driving experience in the adventurous and innovative Canyon. Explore our inventory online at WoodhouseBuickGMC.com or visit our indoor showroom today. Woodhouse Buick GMC. We are professional grade.
Guys, 2022's been a roller coaster year, so spoil her this Christmas by giving her the next best thing to wearing nothing at all. With soft, silky, naturally nude pajamas, exclusively from Pajamagram. Sensuous and smooth, naturally nude pajamas feel just like her own bare skin, even more alluring than lingerie. The texture and touch of these pajamas is so seductive that you'll both love the feel of them. She'll love the feeling of wearing next to nothing at all, and you'll love the way they look. Best of all, Pajamagram does the wrapping for you with free gift packaging. Order today, and Pajamagram will also include a free matching naturally nude nightie with the purchase of naturally nude pajamas. That is free gift packaging and a free naturally nude nightie when you order today. Just go to Pajamagram.com. It's fast, easy, and delivery by Christmas is guaranteed. That's Pajamagram.com.
Make it a great fall season. Head to KuglerVision.com today to request a consultation.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, do you think one of the prerequisites for Casey Thompson coming back, who he hasn't confirmed, but Dad has told everybody that Casey is coming back, is that when they make a schedule poster in 2023 that his son has to be on it?
Yeah. Well,
I'd hope so.
It makes it really awkward when you don't start that individual.
Let's just revisit here who was on the offensive schedule poster for Nebraska, because one of them has just announced where he's going to school.
I like this game.
Corcoran, Vokalek, Hickson, Yant, who just announced he's going to FAMU.
Mm-hmm.
Grant, Palmer, Irvin, Teddy, Omar, Benhart, Ramir. Will Casey Thompson be front and center on the 23 schedule poster, or will Jeff Sims be there and not Casey Thompson?
Oh, I think there's a good possibility that Casey will be. Think of our last impression, our last image of the Nebraska football season. Casey chucking it against the Hawkeyes. Means a lot to people. But it's awkward if, you don't end up starting.
Or they just put Matt Rule on the poster. See, that would be taking the easy
You know what
way
they're going
out.
to do? Let's just be honest. The front of the Nebraska media guide just going to be in an emoji.
That's a great idea.
Would it be like the corn emoji? Or maybe a star?
They're just going to redo the tunnel walk, and then when they open the doors to the locker room, it'll just be an emoji.
It's like the bow and the cat. You know, because you can get like the stuffed emojis. I imagine you can get life-size emojis.
I was about out after the cat. I'd be out after emoji.
The cat.
Replace Low Red with a life-size emoji.
Did that feel forced from Bo when it came out with the cat?
Absolutely not. Absolutely. It seemed very natural that he would just walk out with a cat.
Right. No, but like, okay, hey, I gotta lean into the whole faux Polina thing, or I want to.
Oh no, it's all natural. Yes, completely natural.
Yeah.
There is some other news surrounding Nebraska football. It has nothing to do with 17 or 18-year-old kids deciding where they're going to play college football. Nebraska has a quarterback coach.
Oh. Why am I not
Did
seeing
I
this?
catch you off guard over there?
You did.
Marcus Satterfield will be coaching quarterbacks.
Oh, there it is, yeah.
So he is going to be the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. He will not be coaching tight ends, as has been previously speculated. He has not confirmed that. His head coach has not confirmed that. But in this social media age, he has changed his profile on Twitter, offensive coordinator -- quarterback coach, University of Nebraska.
It's a great catch.
So now Nebraska will be looking for a wide receiver, tight end coach. Could you combine them? And then you still have the other side of the ball.
Tried to get you the information this morning, but couldn't do it.
Do you think remember when they were putting out the new profile picture, and that's how you knew, like, okay, who's in, and then you would go to the bio and you'd see what area they were going to be coaching? Do you think that went against the athletic department? They're like, come on, guys, don't do that. We need to put out a press release first. Or do you think that was like, no, have fun? Especially with what we're talking about with the social media, the emojis and stuff, where not only the head coach, but some of these guys have a little bit of presence there, that it was encouraged to do that.
It's all about recruiting. Yeah. So, you announce some stuff before there's a lot of things that are announced on social media before they are announced publicly, because you got to reach who you're going after on their, where they're at. So I don't think that's the case. That'll be the rarity of a wide receiver coach also being the OC. Now we get, for the second straight go around, a quarterback coach is also the OC.
Like it?
I don't think it matters if I like it. Does Dylan Raiola like it?
Yeah. That suggested maybe by people?
I think, whoever you hire as a quarterback coach, if you're chasing a guy like Dylan Raiola, there has to be a comfort level.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting from the standpoint of what we believed his role would be. Now, that was never officially commented on from Matt Rule. So there you go. There's more content to today's press conference outside of just your signings, is staff. And that makes me think that, because obviously that's going to be a question today, that makes me think that we do get more clarity on this coaching staff and those holes right now. Because you can't be like, no, we're not ready to make that announcement yet. We'll talk to you guys in spring. I feel like you're going to get a little bit more today now.
Channel 3 Sean says it'll probably be Memorial Stadium on the front of the media guide. Makes sense. 100th anniversary.
Yeah. What about the posters, though? Is that all going to, it's one thing on the media guide, but the posters.
Well, they'll still have the posters.
Yeah.
But I would probably make sure that Casey Thompson is on the poster this year. Did we ever get like a story on why he was not included? I mean, it was not like in-person pictures. They're caricatures, essentially, of the players that were on the posters this year. But the guy who, I don't know, was that a coach's decision? They didn't want to, because there was
transfer.
There was Trey Palmer's on there.
Oh, he is. Okay. Oh, yeah, there he is.
But we were still having a quarterback battle. It would look bad if we put the guy that is in the lead on the poster. Maybe that just kind of sums up the 22 season, is that the starting quarterback for Nebraska was not on their schedule poster, but 1, 2, 3, 4 guys that were hardly played.
Omar, Ramir.
I mean, even Anthony Grant, who, transferred from JUCO before last year.
Well, and I mean, Yant.
There aren't a lot of guys left that were on the poster last year.
Maybe a good question for SIP tomorrow. Just lead off with that.
Your early nominations for the 2023 poster.
The next time you talk to Charles Thompson, ask him his thoughts on his son not being on the schedule poster last year. That on photo day, fan day, when people are going around the stadium with their posters and they want to get the starting quarterback's autograph, he's not on the poster. But yet he had gone through spring, and that's just 22. We're on to 23.
Hey, I want to read something to you real quick because of all the Matt Rule emoji fun, and just this being a day that he's got a presence, we'll say, not just here but in college football. This came from Chad. Said, still on the fence with Rule. Something just doesn't seem right about him. I really hope I'm wrong. Part of it could be this tear it completely down thing. Can't stomach any more sub 500 seasons. Is it because, and this would be a question for Chad or anybody else. Do you feel like, with the emojis and stuff, there's like a, trying too hard feel, like trying to fool you type thing? I don't know. I've heard that before when he was first hired, something doesn't feel right. I wish there could be maybe more clarity on your thinking behind that. Elaborate. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying what doesn't feel right.
Well, I think there's probably somebody that has been, like everybody, you've been through the winning the offseason. What do you want Matt Rule to do? He just took the job. He walked into a situation where people around here, we've all encountered bad football where you don't want to go all in on stuff that happens in the offseason because you don't want to drink the Kool-Aid. All he can do is he's brand new. He's just starting, okay? It's his job to make the football team better, and so he's going to go about it his way. And there's a lot of time between now and when they go to Minnesota, and he can't do anything until they play a football game. But what he can do between now and then is build his football program in the way that he knows how and how he goes about it, whether it be on social media. I don't blame him. I'm not going to handcuff a guy because he just got here and he walked into a situation where we've had bad football for 15 years and Nebraska's better in the offseason than they are in the regular season. He can't affect that until they play in August. So I'm not going to fault him for that because he needs to do it his way, not remember, you got to keep kind of a low profile because Nebraska has always won the offseason, and look what that does in the regular season. No, do it your own way. But everybody has a right, and I would be and I'm the same. You can be cautiously optimistic on what all of this means. I'm just telling you, I am personally preparing for next year being a heck of a transition where it's not going to be, hey, Casey's coming back, they're going to a bowl game. It'd be nice because the program has only been to one true bowl game appearance in 8 years. But I'm preparing myself. But he can only do what he can control. And that's 3 weeks. I've been on the job. I need to recruit my off. I need to build a staff. And I like emojis. And I'm coming to you instead of you coming to me. And then we'll say, okay, see this. Now let's see it on the football field. But he can't do anything until they play at the end of August. So, I'm not going to get too caught up in that. But I understand the sentiment, and it's rightfully so. Hey, okay, you may have hit the expectations I had for you in 3 weeks, but what's it going to look like when we get to August? And it's fair to ask that question out loud. All right, coming up next, Brandon Vogel will join us from Hail Varsity. Let's get Bill here real quick. Hey, good morning, Bill.
Good morning. Hey, I just wanted to relay a quick story about my 2001 experience in Colorado. I tell you, they couldn't have been any nicer because we didn't have tickets when we went out there, and we were dressed all in red from head to toe, and none of the fans would sell us their tickets. So we went to the ticket taker with a $50 bill in our hand, and we said, hey, is there any way that we could get into the stadium? Any way that you think that we could get into the stadium? And he said, geez, no, I don't know. If nobody will sell you tickets, I don't know what to do. And I said, well, I tell you what, there's the gift shop right behind you there. Can we just go in and get something at the gift shop, and then, we'll be fine? And he said, sure, that's fine. Well, obviously, we're past the gate at that point, and we saw a tremendous, we didn't see a tremendous game, but we saw a tremendous beating that Nebraska took. But they couldn't have been any nicer. Letting us into the game for free.
That is nice.
Thank you, Bill.
Good on you.
Happy holidays.
Working the system,
Bill. I know what you did there.
Working the system.
Amazing Daniel says, who was on the 99 schedule poster? D'Angelo Evans was on the schedule poster in 99. Newcomb was on there. Crouch was on there. Buckholt. And I only know this off the top of my head.
Wow.
Well, because I was at a bar not too long ago. That
this is even
because
better.
that's pure Nebraska.
Yeah.
There are places when the schedule posters and they were, you have the schedule poster and then like the team issued poster that a lot of bars put up.
Yeah.
And they've kept. And I was at a place that had it framed. Davison, Buckholder, Crouch, D'Angelo Evans was on there because that stood out. Bobby Newcomb, Dan Alexander, maybe? That was the
Okay.
offensive
Whole
one. I don't know
Yeah.
what the defensive one, but that
Okay.
was the offensive one because I remember that.
That's impressive, though. That's good.
So
I thought you were just pulling that from your memory.
No.
That is amazing.
I mean, you go places. There are a lot of places that have these posters that go way back.
As they should.
The Angela.
What's Buzzard Billy's? Is it still Buzzard Billy's in the Haymarket? They have all the old schedule posters that are framed.
I think so.
So if I'm wrong on this, if you go to Buzzard Billy's and you're just wandering around and telling people they're sitting at their table if they could move because you want to look at that schedule poster, let me know.
Had Connor do some recon work today on his way to the game.
Yeah. He's coming up at the top of the hour on the crossover. Brandon Vogel is next.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. For the Jays, the Huskers, and even you Jayskers, we are 1620 The Zone.
Celebrating the holidays without giving gift cards from Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is just, well, wrong. Seriously, how could you even consider not giving Oscar's Pizza and celebrated char-buffed wings, especially with their Thai chili bourbon wing sauce? Spend time with your family with Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill Pizza and wings. And give your friends and extended family gift cards from Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road for dine-in and takeout, and 162nd and Maple for takeout.
There are actually two kinds of cigars. The first is the one you smoke with beloved family and friends. The second, the one you enjoy with friends you've just met. And you'll find both at Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge. At Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, there's a well-stocked humidor with some of the best bands from around the world and a bar with your favorite cocktails and other drinkables. So what do you say? Which cigar will you be enjoying tonight? Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off I-680 and 48th Street next to Cubby's.
Give gifts from Greenberg's and receive a Shields gift card worth up to $500. Choose from stunning diamond engagement rings, anniversary rings, pendants, earrings, and more. It will be a perfect gift for both of you. Make a $500 purchase and receive a $50 Shields gift card. $1,000? Get a $100 gift card. $2,000? Get a $300 gift card. $3,000? Get a $500 gift card. Hurry into Greenberg's for this limited time holiday offer. Westroads Mall.
Here's this week's Maverick Minute. In their final non-conference game of the season, the Maverick men's basketball team was down 67-45 by Northern Colorado last Friday night. The Omaha men officially end their non-conference slate at 5-6. The Omaha baseball team has officially released its spring schedule. They'll play 25 home games at Tal Anderson Field for the 2023 season. And that's your Maverick Minute on your home for the Mavs. News Talk 1290, 1180 The Zone, and 1620 The Zone.
Come visit Omaha's Little Corner of France for mouth-watering appetizers and entrees, plus melt-in-your-mouth desserts. Pick up your holiday gift cards today or reserve their party room for your holiday gatherings. Les Voltaire will make you feel right at home, just like they've been doing for more than 2 decades. Les Voltaire, just off 156th and West Dodge Road in the Pepperwood Village, and at lesvoltaireomaha.com. Make New Year's reservations now for their 5:30 or 8:30 seatings. More info at levoltaireomaha.com.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Now back to Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, my man TC in the Equitable Bank inbox sent me a screenshot of the 99 offensive poster. The one that the linemen were on there. The one I was leaving off, Chevin Wiggin.
Oh, yeah.
Was on the 99 poster. Maybe knows the answer to our question that's come up. Good morning, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy National Signing Day. All of those tied together.
All of those right back at you guys.
Yeah. Hey, so quick question here. You don't have to spend a lot of time, and you can just say I don't know. Did we ever get an answer on why Casey Thompson was not on the offensive schedule poster for the 22 season?
No, I don't think that we did. That's a curious one because we decided in the spring. I think that's where Nebraska was going. So I hadn't noticed that. That's good sleuthing.
Hey, 3 weeks in, and all of you at Hail Varsity are extremely busy today and turning out some great content leading up to today and throughout the day. If you look at the challenges that were ahead of a class where you had players that were very committed to Scott, players that were committed to Mickey, a brand new guy that has no connection here gets the job, and he's got to hit the ground running. And I think he's going to turn into a really good closer, and he likes recruiting. Has the first 3 weeks, have they met your expectations of what you thought this class would become? Exceeded? Where are you at with trying to assess recruiting for 3 weeks of Matt Rule?
Yeah, I would say so far they've slightly exceeded what I kind of set as a baseline for them. I mean, it looks like, this class right now, it's going to be about half holdovers that, committed to the previous staff and half new additions. And, the new additions have been intriguing. They are not necessarily, in some cases, the most highly rated guys, but we've seen them kind of recruit to the classic Rule paradigm there with some of those players who maybe are a little bit raw. It's going to be a developmental class, looking at some of the data here. It's a class that is a little bit closer to Lincoln, which I think makes sense. You're on a tight timeline. It made sense to kind of start locally. And I think you've seen that, and still going to have some time, after these 3 days to make some key additions too. So overall, I would say we're at about a B for me in terms of grading what they've done so far.
Yeah, if there's a guy, and I don't want to say the one that maybe comes in with the best accolades or skill set, but if there's someone that you, given the history of Matt Rule, that would really pique your interest, and maybe it is the same guy, maybe it's the highest ranked recruit coming in, who would that, or maybe a couple guys be, just based on what you know of them and what they're walking into?
Yeah, with this class, it's a little bit inverted because I think a lot of times you do kind of focus on those guys that are at the top of the ratings. I'm honestly as intrigued by some of these. They almost feel like bigger swings because they don't come with the accolades. A guy like Quentin Ives, I think, is a really intriguing prospect when you look at his size. And then you've got the two kind of burners in the class at this moment, and Jalen Lloyd. I mean, getting him over the track offers that he had, it stands out as a big recruiting win to me. And then, of course, Bryce Turner. And I expect it to take some time with those guys, but those two are like almost Olympic level sprinters at this stage in their young careers. So really intrigued with those three, which are all, Rule additions since he arrived.
By the way, this will go down in the history of Nebraska football as maybe the greatest first name of players class. When you add a Chief and a Prince Will, and they aren't even maybe the best name in this class. You got to, because Maverick. Nebraska added a guy named Maverick to the class, and then you have to go. They added a guy named Sam to the class. Oh, by the way, I'll see you a Sam, and I'll raise you with a gunner. This is an all-time first name class in the history of Nebraska football.
It absolutely is. And, like the guy I just mentioned, I'll throw Quentin in there. Quentin's a solid name. We've got an unconventional spelling here. So there's been sincere.
Yes.
I didn't mention that one. So I would agree with you. It's an interesting, the base of it's pretty close to home, at least compared to some recent Nebraska classes, but you definitely saw them get out there to the East Coast. You've got Texas and Florida represented. So a lot of ways it's going to end up, I think, by the time we're done, looking pretty similar to most Nebraska classes of the Big Ten era.
The addition of Jeff Sims. We apologize, Jeff. You have a normal first name. The addition of him at quarterback, and with the guy that started last year coming back, what do you think that does to the quarterback position leading into 23?
Yeah, it's getting crowded quick, isn't it? I expect, Nebraska will go through its spring. I think you'll probably see some QB movement there one way or another after that point, maybe before that. But, Sims is, from a numbers perspective, like just, the end of year stats maybe don't blow you away, but looking at kind of his QBR compared to, I think, his team, pretty similar 2021 to what Casey Thompson had. And then Casey Thompson came to Nebraska and probably had an even better 2022 by that measure. Sims was a major recruiting win for Georgia Tech. We obviously know the connections with this staff and Jeff Collins. So there's no doubt in my mind that Nebraska got a pretty fair read on him. And the guy who started a lot of games didn't see the results or even, stats that might blow you away. But I think there's still a chance for him to be a pretty good player.
Brandon, the sort of the day that remains for Nebraska right now, what's your anticipation level of how this is going to go? And mainly I want to go with Coleman's decision at 10:45 and even Cornelius, that based on Matt Rule's emojis yesterday, maybe he's hinting at something. I mean, how do you think that the rest of this afternoon goes?
Yeah, I think the Coleman one would be, the bow on top of this early period class if Nebraska is able to swing that one back in their favor. Colorado got that late visit, and Deion Sanders is going to have a lot of appeal for a lot of kids throughout the country. So that'll be pretty interesting. I mean, if they were able to pull Cornelius, looking at the other offers he has from the transfer portal, that might even be a bigger win. It's tough to go with the in-state kid that Nebraska has devoted so much time to, but those transfer O linemen are probably like the most valued resource, I think, in the portal that we've seen, through these first three cycles with immediate eligibility. Like you'll find skill position players there. The O linemen tend to go quick. So if Nebraska could get one, it not only is a good player, but addresses, a pretty glaring need coming out of the past couple of seasons.
Yeah, and that's going to lead into this question. So this class won't be complete today. And the portal, of course, is still going on. You have until the 18th of January to get in. We know it's going to open up again in May. If you're looking at, and this might be a difficult question because there's still a couple of guys on defense. I mean, Nebraska could return almost the entire defense next year, but you're waiting on a Nelson and a Feast to say, yeah, I'm coming back. He didn't have to worry about it. If you look at right now the needs for 23, where do you think an area that is still a need for Nebraska that they haven't been able to address with this class? And then where is an area that you think they have addressed a need in 23 that at least gives them a chance at that certain position group?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and this is one where it's hard to address on this day, but, we've seen a Nebraska offensive line that hasn't had a ton of turnover. I mean, guys going into 2023, a lot of them played multiple seasons at this point, and it just hasn't gotten there for them. That's why if somebody like Cornelius, you can get him, and there'll be transfer additions, to come later too. But I think the O-line remains the biggest need there. Just another body or two, somebody with some experience could make a big difference there. Depending on how things go with Coleman, Nebraska has added a ton of kind of skill position talent, primarily at wide receiver, though I think some of those designations will be a little bit flexible between running back and wide receiver. But I would say losing your Trey Palmer, and we'll see what else comes down the pike as far as wide receiver position goes. But they handled that need so far based on this class.
Brandon, as always, we appreciate it. I know you guys are going to be busy. Also, I really enjoyed the latest edition of Hail Varsity. All the work that you guys did has the hiring of Matt Rule on the cover. Great job, by the way.
I appreciate that, guys. Happy holidays again.
That's Brandon Vogel from Hail Varsity. Offensive line will always be a need, as you know, Nick. So wide receiver to me is still a need. They lost some significance out of there. Now, Marcus Washington is right now would be on the 21st of December, your wide receiver one. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of unknown at wide receiver. I think inside linebacker is another spot as we get to know what positions are going to fit in 3-3-5. Mm-hmm. Like a Borders is a guy that I think we're going to see more of. Very athletic, very versatile. A guy that can play, out on the edge, and then he can go to be a stand-up rusher, put his hand in the dirt. Those kind of guys. But I think there are some areas where Nebraska is not going to be able to fix themselves in 23, and I really think that's on offensive line. The only way they fix their offensive line, we discussed it in depth yesterday, is that's a guy that is not going to be wearing a headset on Saturdays. He's going to be the reason why you're better at offensive line, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that'll be strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
But it's going to be I think it's going to be a couple of cycles with the offensive line to replenish that room like it should be, to be able to have an offensive line in the Big Ten that is worthy week in and week out, to give you the ability of what you want to do, and that is control the line of scrimmage.
No, and, even as we talk in the short term too, is Casey evaluating all that stuff too. Going over all that stuff as far as what his season was like last year, the duress that he was under last year, is it going to be better? And that's why I was always curious, like, okay, would he ultimately return if he didn't feel like that area had a chance to be better than what it was a year ago? But it's obviously, and we always knew that before Matt Rule was hired, it was always going to have to be a point of emphasis, regardless if that's your area of expertise as the head coach, or you have people that are close to you that have a very strong handle on that. And so it begins. But I think it's a great point about Campbell and where that maybe kind of gets that process moving.
Yeah, the other position that it might have to be portal, because you've missed on a couple of guys, is tight end, because you're going to be awful young in that room as well.
What does it look like, too? I still, like currently, and then what it looks like as we get into spring. I still think there's movement there. I just do.
I mean, do you need Fedoni to tell everybody that I'm not emojiing it? I'm public. I'm coming back.
I feel like you do.
100?
That's how does he need to? He's like, guys, what the hell? I wasn't going anywhere, but I feel like he does.
I thought 2 months ago Fedoni was gone. Now today, I'm not so certain.
Yeah.
All right, 2:30 today, Matt Rule will have his press conference again. Malachi Coleman in 45 minutes will announce where he's going to school, the Lincoln East 5-star, who committed to Mickey U, and then went and visited Dion U, and now may be coming back to Nebraska U. We'll find that out. We'll discuss things that will be shared today by the head coach. I imagine it's more than recruiting. I mean, there'll be a lot of questions, that Sam and Sip will have like 45 questions that have nothing to do with the recruiting. It'll be about staff, other things. So we'll get into all that when we come back and join you again tomorrow at 6. Just a reminder, it is dangerously cold outside, and it's going to get worse. So, do the right thing, and we will keep you warm and toasty tomorrow.